And the 41-year-old was unable to move.
She was taking her hoodie and dipping it in the water because she could reach the water and wringing it out and drinking water out of the ditch.
The Newton County Sheriff's Office on Tuesday said it was a passerby operating heavy equipment for DeYoung drainage when he found a vehicle off the roadway out of view from passing traffic.
The first piece of clothing she tried to do that with, she actually dropped and it fell and it was in the water. But then that shirt she was able to hang on to, and she was able to get water that way. And if she would have gone that long without water, she'd never survived.
Fire Chief Jeremy Vanderwall Castle is recovering this morning from severe injuries after being airlifted to Christ Hospital in Oak Lawn. Charges have been dropped against a man initially accused in a deadly North suburban stabbing. Prosecutors say surveillance video reviewed after the charges were filed show Isaiah Gonzalez was never armed. Joshua Kirkwood was stabbed to death inside his own Waukegan restaurant, 4140 Steaks and Seafood, during a fight last month. How courts are dealing with Illinois' end to cash bail, the subject of two major cases heard by the Illinois Supreme Court yesterday.
Tuesday, the court heard two cases that had different outcomes. In Illinois versus Antonio Cousins, Assistant Attorney General. The trial court didn't give adequate time for pretrial detention arguments, and another hearing should be granted.
We're not going to have like sort of a gotcha system where the hearing didn't go as it should have gone, and so that was the state's only opportunity. And, we're just going to release a defendant without regard to whether or not the evidence shows a danger or a flight risk.
In a separate firearms-related case, Illinois versus Tyrell Cooper, the state argued to affirm the lower court's decision on pretrial detention. Assistant Attorney General Aaron O'Connell asked justices to find the 48-hour threshold for pretrial detention hearings to be directory, not mandatory.
Even assuming that this was 2 hours late, he's not entitled to invalidate the detention order, and the court's authority to detain him was preserved.
I'm Greg Bishop.
A former suburban police chief is scheduled to face a judge today on DUI charges following his arrest late last year, caught on police body cams. The Justice Police Department released body cam footage this week. According to a police report, former Bridgeview chief of police Walter Klimek was arrested in December of last year after being suspected of driving under the influence. Klimek is due back in court at the Markham Courthouse this morning. Discussions continue in Springfield around proposed legislation that would combine Chicago area mass transit systems into one. The measure debated yesterday would create the Metropolitan Mobility Authority. Annie McGowan is with the Civic Federation.
This legislation would address the inefficiencies, governance issues, and the lack of accountability and coordination that have plagued the transit agencies for decades.
While giving her opinion, State Senator Don DeWitt, a Republican from St. Charles, says whatever the outcome is, Chicago's suburbs cannot be excluded from the conversation.
Residents of Kane County or DuPage County or Will or McHenry County are going to be paying for Metro fares without A, having any representation to debate those issues, and B, being absolutely steamrolled in the ability to be able to control that or have some input.
Labor unions are pushing back hard against any consolidation talk. The RTA faces a $770 million fiscal cliff next year. Students gathered on the University of Chicago campus Tuesday, calling on the school to be transparent about tuition, while also protesting the arrest and pending deportation of a Hamas activist.
It's absolutely horrifying that he was abducted by ICE. It's horrifying that the university seems to have collaborated in that abduction. And we can't have that happen here. We can't be next.
Mahmoud Khalil helped lead violent protesters at Columbia University in New York. He was taken into custody over the weekend. The debate over transgender individuals playing sports in this state continues to play out on the Illinois House floor. AM 560's Greg Bishop has the very latest from Springfield and was there for the debate.
Democratic State Representative Kelly Cassidy followed up with points she made last week concerning opposition to biological males playing in female sports. She criticized 133 bills across the country targeting trans individuals, including 20 in Illinois.
Know that those bills will never become law in Illinois as long as I have breath in my body.
Cassidy again urged her colleagues to leave the kids alone. Republican State Representative Regan Deering then rose as someone who has such a bill in Illinois.
I, too, echo the passion of leaving our kids alone, and I want my constituents to know, and women and girls all over the state of Illinois, that I have their back.
Legislators then adjourned for committees and will return Wednesday. At the Capitol in Springfield, I'm Greg Bishop.
Ahead of their Japan opener next Tuesday, the Cubs lost in spring ball to Milwaukee, 9-7. White Sox were bested by San Diego, 7-5. Padres walk it off on a Gavin Sheets 2-run home run. That's got to hurt. Bulls back in action Thursday at home against Brooklyn. Blackhawks visit San Jose Thursday. College tournament hoops. Gonzaga upset St. Mary's to win the West Coast Conference title. Big Ten tournament gets underway in Indy tomorrow. Notre Dame, a big win over Pitt in the ACC tournament. The Northeast Conference winner is St. Francis with a massive upset of Central Connecticut, 46-43, and an under 500 team punching their ticket to the big dance, while a 25-win regular conference champ probably frozen out. The news, a service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more. Go to 560theanswer.com/store. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
When you need to talk about what's happening today,
hey, can I talk to you for a second?
There's one place you can come to. The Sean Thompson Show.
Do it! Do it! I dare you. Do it!
Get in the conversation.
Everybody talks about that show. Sounds great, doesn't it?
Weekdays starting at 4.
This is easy.
I like his honesty and his frankness. Every day I listen to him, I learn.
He says what's on his mind. He's real.
Best person out there to listen to.
We're combating people who prefer the lie.
He's Sean Thompson, only on AM 560. The Answer.
You never want to miss one of life's most important moments. A graduation, a birthday, a first communion, a wedding. When these moments happen, you want to make sure to capture them so that you and your loved ones can remember them for years to come. For over 30 years, families have relied on Tom Kaloran Photography to capture important life moments. This locally owned family business can provide the solutions you need for your important event photography, from weddings and birthdays to class reunions and golf outings. No matter the size or scope, Tom Kaloran Photography will make sure you have lasting memories to share for years to come. Tom Kaloran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see their portfolio, just visit KaloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN photography.com, or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Kaloran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere, delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Samsung TV Plus, channel 1177.
Honey, we're not moving, but we gotta do something about this kitchen.
Funny you mention it. I just stopped by Forever Remodeling's new showroom in Niles. I saw over a dozen kitchen and bathroom layouts they designed. They even offered to stop by the house and give us a free in-home design consultation.
What'd you tell them?
That we're free today?
Visit foreverremodeling.com today. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling.
512 on AM 560. The Answer. Let's get a check on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. This update is service of Rapid Radio's. Business owners can keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time with instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies from Rapid Radios. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping. At O'Hare this morning, you've got major police activity after a shooting and injuries this morning. It's at the lower-level baggage claim at Terminal 2. Now, Terminal 2, that lower-level baggage claim, is now shut down because of a shooting that occurred around 1 a.m. A dispute, according to Chicago police, led to that shooting. One major construction problem this morning. Tri-State road work. 3 right lanes are blocked on 294 southbound between Roosevelt and Cermak. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sun and high clouds today, high 53. Clear tonight, low 35. And then sunny tomorrow, the high 59. Clouds and sun, shower and a heavy thunderstorm by nightfall on Friday. High Friday afternoon at 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Currently 37 degrees. Your next news update is at 5:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560. The Answer.
This month and every month, we remember the over 66 million babies whose lives have been senselessly sacrificed on the altar of abortion. Surely, the left doesn't understand the repercussions of a land that takes the blood of the innocent, and that should only motivate us more to save more babies and their moms. Preborn is a network of clinics, and they fight every day to save more babies and more moms. To date, they've rescued over 300,000 babies' lives by introducing a mom to her child on an ultrasound. That baby's chance at life doubles. Preborn showers moms and babies with God's love and assistance for up to 2 years. So when they shout abortion, we shout life. Let's save more babies this year than last. One ultrasound is just $28, and only $140 will help rescue 5 babies. All of the gifts are tax deductible. So donate securely. Dial pound 250. Say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby. Or go to preborn.com/hope. Preborn.com/hope. Sponsored by Preborn.
Your business is under attack 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a fact. Small businesses are the low-hanging fruit. You may think you're protected, but you're vulnerable in many ways, and cyber attackers actively prey on small businesses. But Turnkey can protect you. Turnkey is the key to cyber protection. Turnkey has a quick and efficient 12-point evaluation to determine if your business, your profits, are at risk. And right now, for a limited time, Turnkey is offering the first month of service to all new customers free. Peace of mind, free. It includes all Microsoft licensing, antivirus, anti-malware, and completed data backup both on-site and off-site, plus help desk support. Don't leave you, your employees, and your customers vulnerable. Talk to Turnkey. Visit turnkey.pro. 3 decades of experience. That's turnkey.pro. Turnkey, the champion of small business.
Wealth Health Radio.
The biggest fears that people have is, do I have enough money to retire?
Retirement doesn't have to be complicated.
To make sure that you're going through retirement with confidence.
Learn principles of income planning.
There's a lot of different facets that you need to take into consideration when you're retiring.
Tune into Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, noon to 1 p.m. Sundays on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
So how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Gonna be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration? Like mediation?
Sort of, but better. We'll have a firm decision.
Oh, that's easier. Who's your arbitrator?
Bert Hochberg.
That attorney at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck?
Yeah, senior partner. Comes highly recommended.
Are you facing divorce or a family law issue? Burton S. Hochberg offers arbitration services, a dispute resolution process that will save you time, money, and the complexity of litigation. Let Burton hear and resolve your claims with choices that best suit you and yours. To discuss, call Bert directly, or even better, have your attorney call Bert at 773-255-6150. That's 773-255-6150. Again, 773-255-6150. No one knows arbitration like Bert Hochberg. Why go through a difficult divorce? Call Bert at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck, Chicago's preeminent family law firm since 1981.
Maha starts with Virago, making America healthy again. With the worst flu season in years, you need an immune system boost. The stronger your immune system, the stronger your body fights and defends against So get Virago. Virago Immune Enhancement Support is a unique blend of 23 nutraceuticals, ingredients that have been available as individual nutraceuticals, but now working in synergy to maximize their effects. Recommended by medical physicians, dentists, and other healthcare professionals, Virago is the nutraceutical cocktail for immune support. Developed to strengthen your immune system for quick response to immune challenges, for short and long-term immunity, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. It even protects your heart, kidneys, liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Order online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Quality ingredients for optimum health. Maha, making America healthy again starts with Virago.
Attention American homeowners, you're under attack. Your home and equity could be vulnerable to cyber thieves. There's only one company that completely stops them, and that company is Equity Protect. Equity Protect prevents any attempts to steal your home, equity, and ownership 24/7. Get your free risk report today by texting the word HOME to 94878. That's right, text the word HOME to 94878 to get your free risk report. Keep your equity and legacy safe with Equity Protect.
We always use M13. They can print anything.
They design and price match. M13 does amazing work.
M13 Graphics has helped make our brand stand out. They're definitely the best for less.
Before M13, amateur. With M13, we look awesome.
M13 Graphics, Chicago's leader in full-color design and printing. Set your business up for success with exceptional print products. Turned around in just 24 to 48 hours. Business cards, postcards, posters, banners, brochures, apparel, you name it. M13 will design and print nearly anything for your business. They have the right people in place and a reputation that keeps customers happy and coming back for more. They're a Chicago company that embodies the idea of business integrity. They live it every day. After all, in this country, you're free to do business with who you choose. Respect that freedom. Choose the best. For speedy turnaround, excellent service, and the best pricing in Chicagoland, choose M13 Graphics for all your design and printing. Online at M13.com. Visit M13.com or call now, toll free, 877-M13-1913. That's 877-M13-1913.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the left is sticking with the program, I guess is the way to say it. Some say, well, they're not receiving the message. They continue to choose the wrong cause celebs. Well, this is their program for the ideological set, and they're useful idiots, and they're sticking with it because they're ideologues. So expect this to continue. I'm talking about this case which sort of we mentioned in passing yesterday, but let's get into it in a bit more detail. And that is the arrest of, or detention of, Mahmoud Khalil, who is the lead pro-Hamas organizer on the campus of Columbia University. Senator Chris Murphy, a Marxist from Connecticut. And frankly, all of the Senate Judiciary Democrats, the Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee, are making this, as I said, a cause celeb. Free Mahmoud Khalil, they say. And
well, there's pictures of him all over social media with like, free him now. He must be released.
The claim they're making, so this isn't just seen as sort of a thinly veiled anti-Israel, perhaps even anti-Semitic posture that the party is taking, consistent with some of their illustrious caucus members like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and AOC, Ayanna Pressley, the Socialist Spice Girls, virulent anti-Semites, all of them. But to make it seem like it's not that, it's not just about their bigotry and the notice they put Jews in America on a long time ago, actually, that this solidarity and marginality scam they're running, yeah, you're not a part of it. We're not interested in your interests when it comes to the issue of Palestinians versus Israelis. You know where we stand. Chris Murphy, the Marxist from Connecticut, though, is trying to make this, as are others, a First Amendment issue. And this is a tin horn dictator disappearing people who disagree with him politically. Take a listen.
A young man by the name of Mahmoud Khalil, an immigrant and a legal permanent resident of the United States, is being held right now in prison, even though no criminal charges have been filed against him. Now, I want to tell you why that should matter to every single American. Khalil is a recent graduate of Columbia University. He opposed Israel's military operation in Gaza. He has deep animus toward Israel's policies and the U.S. support for those policies. He helped organize the protests over Gaza at his university last year. You can disagree with his views or his politics, but there is no evidence he has broken any law. But last weekend, Trump officials entered his apartment and took him into custody. They brought him to a detention facility in New Jersey at first, but when his family went to visit him, he wasn't there. For a while, his family and his lawyer had no idea where he was. They eventually found out that he was being held in a detention facility in Louisiana, and that's where he still is today. In dictatorships, they call this practice being disappeared. No charges, no claims of criminal behavior. The White House doesn't claim he did anything criminal. He's in jail because of his political speech. And here's why everybody should care. In America, your political speech is protected, whether or not the president likes what you say. But today, if you're loyal to Donald Trump, your speech is going to be protected, even if it's hate speech. You can be Marco Ellis, an employee of Doge, who said he, quote, was racist before it was cool, and, quote, normalize Indian hate. And the vice president of the United States will tweet in your defense. But if you are disloyal to Trump or you're organizing against Trump's political agenda, your speech could be criminalized. You could find yourself in jail.
Well, that, first of all, the comparison to the Doge guy is apples to orange groves. Right. Secondly, what Chris Murphy is saying is not true, but to the extent that people have been persuaded that this is some sort of First Amendment issue that, you may not like Mahmoud Khalil's views, but of course that's the point of the First Amendment protections, is to protect people expressing unpopular opinions. But that's not what's going on here.
No, he aligns with Hamas. I mean, he's a national security threat. He doesn't want to become part of the fabric of America. And I don't care that he's married to an American woman and allegedly she's 8 months pregnant. But why do Dems pick the worst hills to die on? I mean, he supports foreign terrorist organizations, and Trump mentioned that he's going to go and others, so watch out.
I think we ought to get them all out of the country. They're troublemakers. They're agitators. They don't love our country. We ought to get them the hell out. I watched them. I watched tapes. Specifically, I watched tapes. And you can have them, okay? You can have them. And you can have the rest of them.
Well, he issued an executive order on January 29th in the direction of combating anti-Semitism, and as part of that that process, signing the executive order, announcing it, he said to all resident aliens who join the pro-jihadist protests, we put you on notice. Come 2025, we will find you and we will deport you. Something that he had previously said in the campaign. So here we are. and this is what's happening. The first point of order is these activities occurred under the Biden administration. So, interestingly, just on the politics of this for a second, the Marxists sort of are getting it coming and going because, of course, their anti-Semitic base opposed the Biden administration policies too, even trying to middle the issues in the Middle East, not to mention middling the issues of the sort of the nature of these protests on college campuses after those Ivy League presidents lit themselves on fire before a House committee. This all occurred under Biden when these same people were opposing Biden policies. Now Trump comes in and he's looking back at what some of these individuals did, who they're affiliated with, and as Ilya Shapiro, the director of constitutional studies at the Manhattan Institute, says, all the Trump administration is doing is a basic application of the law. The Immigration and Naturalization Act says people can have their visas pulled or denied for membership in or support of terrorist organizations. So the visa can be pulled or denied up front if they're believed to be a member or a supporter of a terrorist organization. That goes for green cards, too, though more legal process may be required there. And apparently Mahmoud Khalil has a green card. Homeland Security Department spokesman accused Khalil, though, of leading, quote, activities aligned to Hamas, which is a designated terrorist organization. So therein lies the basis for detention and potential expulsion, although this will go through the courts. Our friend John Yoo, who's a law professor at Berkeley, said, so I bet what will happen is that even though the immigration law says that alien students can be deported, there will be a district judge somewhere who says the president cannot use that power to punish people based on their First Amendment protected beliefs and speech. But at the end of the day, the Supreme Court will ultimately uphold the law and the president's discretion here if there is evidentiary support for the nexus between Khalil, in this case, and terrorist organizations, Hamas and or any others. So this needed to be explicated and discussed, because this is not some strict First Amendment issue. This is not, as Chris Murphy argues, because your views on Hamas or Israel are unpopular, Trump is rounding people up and arresting them or deporting them if he can. That is not what is happening.
Well, he also led the charge to break into buildings. I mean, that's a crime there, don't you think? I just think, maybe he'd get a work visa from MSNBC. I just feel, again, that the Dems pick the worst hills to die on because they want to deport Elon Musk, but they want to keep Mahmoud Khalil.
Yeah, right.
And here's Rashida Tlaib real quick.
If you believe in constitutional rights, if you understand that they're targeting this person, and everyone knows he has been very vocal against the genocide of the Palestinian people in Gaza, and they're targeting him and refusing him constitutional rights, who's next?
Yeah, it's not about him being vocal, and it's not about him saying that what's happening in Gaza is a genocide, which it isn't. But you can say that. You can have that opinion, just like Rashida Tlaib does. But that's not what's happening. The other thing that this case could aid and abet is getting into the weeds to find the funding streams that may be coming, they're alleged to be coming, from terrorist organizations to some of these student groups on campuses around the country, like Students for Justice in Palatine, all these SJP chapters. Where does their money come from? Because there's a great suspicion that it does come from terrorist organizations through various cutouts. Corey and Woodlawn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, thanks, guys, for taking the call. I'm very much in alignment with Trump on this. Get these guys out of the country. But who's next? Who's first? The January 6th were first. The COVID people were first. So when the Democrats don't like a policy, we already know what they'll do. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, well said, Corey. Thanks for the call. All right, coming up at 5:38. Speaking of Elon Musk, not deported yet. In fact, Trump went car shopping with Elon yesterday, 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom and say good morning to Mike Scott.
39 degrees at 5:32. We have breaking news. We're following developments for you at O'Hare this morning. where there has been a shooting. One person shot just outside of Terminal 2. Terminal 2 is closed at O'Hare. That's the lower-level baggage claim area due to that shooting that occurred around 1 a.m. Police are on the scene. The investigation there continues. The House has voted on a measure that avoids a possible shutdown on Friday. The proposed legislation from Speaker Mike Johnson would fund the federal government through the end of September.
They will be responsible for every troop who misses a paycheck, for every flight delay from reduced staffing at TSA, for every negative consequence that comes from shutting down the government.
Johnson threatening Democrats who actually did help House Republicans maintain a razor-thin margin and pass that CR. Protests demanding the release of Columbia student Mahmoud Khalil are expected today. The Palestinian activist was taken into custody by ICE agents over the weekend. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says Khalil distributed pro-Hamas terror propaganda on campus that called for violence.
Khalil was an individual who was given the privilege of coming to this country to study at one of our nation's finest universities and colleges. And he took advantage of that opportunity, of that privilege, by siding with terrorists.
Over a dozen Democrat members of Congress sent a letter to the Trump administration demanding Khalil's release. According to the U.S., Ukraine is ready to accept a proposal enacting an interim 30-day ceasefire in its war with Russia. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz.
This diplomatic effort in the Oval Office, talking to both leaders, both President Putin and President Zelensky back to back, and now that shuttle diplomacy continues.
The two countries releasing a joint statement after a meeting in Saudi Arabia. President Trump says he sees signs of tariffs working. At the White House, Trump says there are reports of plants that were under construction in Canada and Mexico moving to the U.S.
We're the biggest, we're the best, and I'm very optimistic. I have to tell you, I'm very optimistic.
The president also noted the Premier of Ontario is putting on hold decisions that impose tariffs on electricity exports to the U.S. pending meetings at the White House. The NTSB is worried about future accidents.
A helicopter operating over the eastern shoreline of the Potomac River would have just 75 feet of vertical separation from an airplane approaching runway 33.
It comes after the mid-air collision between an American Airlines passenger jet and an Army helicopter. NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy saying there were over 1,500 close proximity events between helicopters and passenger jets between 2021 and 2024 near Reagan National Airport alone. A missing woman surviving for nearly 1 week in her car after crashing into a creek in northwest Indiana. The family of Brianna Castle saying she went missing Wednesday of last week after leaving her mother's home to visit friends near DeMotte, Indiana.
She had told her daughter that she felt this morning that she was giving up hope, and then she was found.
The Newton County Sheriff's Office said Tuesday a passerby operating heavy equipment for DeYoung Drainage found that vehicle off the roadway in a ditch out of view from passing traffic. Castle is recovering from severe injuries after being airlifted to Christ Hospital in Oak Lawn. Chicago sports, ahead of their Japan opener next Tuesday, Cubs lost in spring ball to Milwaukee 9-7. White Sox bested by San Diego 7-5. And former pro golfer Tiger Woods recovering after an Achilles tendon repair and surgery. In a post on X, the golfer saying he was working out when he felt that sharp pain. His doctors in Florida determined the tendon had ruptured. The news is a service of the Schaumburg Home Show. Homeowners, make your home a dream home as you save time and money with one easy visit to the huge free admission home show. This weekend only. Schaumburg Convention Center, SchaumburgHomeshow.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder explains the real problem.
It's not about the deficit. The deficit is just the gap between how much money the government takes in and how much it spends. You can close that by simply raising taxes. The real issue is the size, scope, and intrusiveness of government. And I've said this before, can't do this now politically or even morally, but at some point, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid have to be addressed.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Whew, that shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Listen every Sunday morning at 6 for Wyatt Matters. Wyatt Matters takes a lighthearted approach to things that deeply matter by utilizing a casual, interactive talk show format. Sharing some wisdom and creating some laughter. To this end, to get people thinking about what matters. And why it matters. Sunday morning at 6 on AM 560. The Answer.
.539 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy outbound stalled semi right lane block between Pulaski and Irving Park. Stevenson Expressway. You're already jammed up Ashland into the Ryan merge. Bishop Ford already slowing up 103rd into the Ryan Expressway. Bensonville, report of an accident. York Road and Supreme Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sun through high clouds today, high 53. Mainly clear, 35 overnight. Sunny, a bit warmer and mild tomorrow, high 59. Currently 39 degrees. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Trump and Musk went car shopping yesterday.
It was so adorable. They had a little mini showroom on the front house or the front lawn of the White House. It was cute.
Yeah, brought a line of Tesla models for Trump to check out. He got into the S. He seemed to like that.
So, do you want to actually drive it?
You don't want me to drive it, do you?
I thought by doing
I'll tell you, it could be.
once in the Jeep, very easy to drive.
That's you're the only one that saw it.
So it's like driving a golf cart, basically.
No, it's very simple.
It's very simple. So it's literally like a golf cart that goes really fast. There's no gears.
This is really amazing. really amazing. Let's take a look at that. Think Biden could get into that car? I don't
No, Biden had to sport the Jeep, if you remember. He brought Jeeps to the White House. So for those people that are decrying this as corruption.
Free car commercial, I heard.
Yeah, Musk's, Trump's biggest donor being Musk, and he brings his product to the White House, and this is an infomercial, and Trump is peddling Teslas. And, well, that cuts both ways, as we've seen from people that are literally attacking inanimate objects like parked Teslas in protest of Musk's alliance with Trump. So I don't know how many more cars a Musk's alliance with Trump is really selling. If anything, it's probably hurting him on net. But regardless, the silliness of it all after, the Stellantis, which is foreign-owned company, brought Jeeps to the White House for Biden to sport to promote Jeep. So pay no attention to the ankle biters.
Real quick, though, I loved when he called it Tesla. Okay, just listen.
You want my notes?
Yeah.
They gave me notes. I said,
montage.
I'm not Biden. I don't need notes.
Okay.
This is a different panel than I've had. Everything's computer. That's beautiful. Think Biden could get into that car? I like is that one.
And how does this work?
And I want that same color. I love Tesla.
I love you, Tesla.
Yeah, and so
It's just a moment of levity.
He liked the Model S. He wants a vanity plate entitled "Truth." He wants truth on a vanity plate.
Oh.
And when Musk threw in the rust proofing, Trump said, "All right, I'll write you a check," and he drove it off the lot. Yeah, great salesman.
Well, yeah, he did. I mean, he promised. He made good on his promise to buy a Tesla from his Doge captain. I know. For me, it was a show of unity and just that he's helping a friend. I mean, Tesla stock is tanking, and Elon has lost millions of dollars, I'm sure, because he's been focusing on Doge instead of his business.
Well, he's focused on his business because he also had this announcement yesterday with Trump.
Look at cars.
I have an announcement. Very helpful.
You mentioned the Ontario.
I want to say, as a function of the great policies of President Trump and his administration, and as an act of faith in America, Tesla is going to double vehicle output in the United States within the next 2 years. Double.
Big deal. By the way, he makes one car. This one I don't understand. This one I don't want, but that's okay. Without a steering wheel. It comes out next year, right?
Yes.
Explain that, please.
Yes. The Cybercab starts production in Texas next year, and it's self-driving. We have so much confidence in the self-driving nature of it that it will actually not have a steering wheel. It will not have pedals. It'll either self-drive or not drive at all. But it'll self-drive. President Trump,
And I'm going to pass on that. But
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that one, too. But, to each his own. Although it'd been nice if Musk also announced it. I'm eschewing green energy subsidies, too. No more EV subsidies.
Oh, that's nice.
Not just no more EV mandates, which is a good start, but how about no more EV subsidies? But anyway, I digress. So that was a fun,
why is that
fun
fair?
exchange.
If you buy a Tesla and you get what, $8,000 back, and I buy a Odyssey Honda minivan and I get nothing. I mean, how is that fair? Even if it's a hybrid. No, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line. You could also text us. Text message coming in. Dan and Amy. Are attacks on Tesla dealers, Tesla's cars, crimes of terrorism? And how will perpetrators be punished?
Well, I mean, like if you've seen the video of some lunatic in New York running off the sidewalk and into the street to pound on the side of a slow-moving Tesla, I mean, that's
a Cybertruck.
Yeah, a Cybertruck. I don't know if that rises to the level of an act of domestic terrorism. But if you firebomb a Tesla dealer for political reasons to make a political statement, and or if you're a part of an organized group that is carrying out criminal activity, well, I mean, then you start to get closer to acts of domestic terrorism. Yes.
Another text message. Dan and Amy, I thought we were supposed to hate all electric cars. Let's not forget Musk's love for our government. I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
Probably subsidies, government money. I just mentioned that. I never forget that. I never forget that, which is why I always had a bit of an uneven opinion about Musk. But his work on Tesla and Doge is certainly tipping the scales in his direction, at least for me. Something else about Musk, though, that I wanted to get to. I mean, again, just in terms of the Musk derangement syndrome that has now gripped the left. It's nearing the point where it's going to eclipse. I mean, I know that's a big statement, but where it's going to eclipse, at least in some quarters, Trump derangement syndrome. Let me present some evidence in support of that claim. So this was, you know, the one of the gaggles on MSNBC last week after that SpaceX rocket exploded. The SpaceX rocket last week that was doing a test flight, the Starship, was going to deploy mock satellites, but tumbled out of control and exploded in midair. People saw this, I assume. And this is the second rocket that's exploded. I mean, this is setting aside the government subsidies for his business, some of his businesses for the moment. I mean, this is a brilliant entrepreneur. I know AOC and Ilhan Omar don't think he's very bright.
Are you kidding me?
Talk about being called seriously. Ugly by a frog. But I mean, this is you know a generational entrepreneur, like Michael Jordan is a generational athlete. This was MSNBC's reaction to that's a Starship explosion in space last week.
You know who isn't? Elon Musk. On Thursday, a SpaceX Starship rocket exploded just minutes into its test flight. The FAA temporarily stopped air traffic around Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and Orlando. It is the second consecutive Starship test flight from Elon Musk's company to end with destruction.
All I could think about was, I can't sing.
No, please don't.
Simone Sanders.
That's good. That's good. We got it.
Michael Steele.
We understand how painful that was for y'all out there. Just as watching things blow up.
This is where you tell us that you starred as Glinda in your production of Wicked.
No. But I've done a number of shows. But anyway.
Why did they let him put this rocket up in the air after they were still investigating the last explosion?
Well, see, this is the thing. And that's probably why it exploded. But the thing to keep in mind is my suggestion for Elon, his response to all of this was rockets are hard. And Mr. Musk, if they're so hard, why don't you go back to your day job and work that out? And leave those of us who do government to do government, because you can't do both. And clearly you're failing right now at both. Your rockets are blowing up and the government's blowing up. So I suggest you concentrate on the one thing you think you know more about and do that. And leave the rest to those of us who know a little bit of how to provide services to people who need them and make the government function.
And that's Joy Reid's replacement, those three knuckleheads up there?
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
Simone Sanders, who is, you know, just a political flack for Bernie Sanders, no relation. She's just a socialist simpleton. Michael Steele, another socialist simpleton. We know, I mean, first of all, I mean, the hubris required to know nothing about any of these industries, certainly on the technical side. And to lecture Elon Musk about engineering or chemistry, Michael Steele, I mean, wow, that's impressive. In terms of just complete obliviousness, and the get out of the way and let us who know how to do government. First of all,
smug.
First of all, you're not in the government. Secondly, when you were in the government, in Maryland as the lieutenant governor? Is that your big government experience? Maryland's a basket case of a state, too. Why don't you go to your big city, Baltimore, and tell us how Baltimore's doing? You do government so well, meaning what, you on the left? Well, it's not just the left, of course, but right, everybody does government so well that's been doing it. This is why we're $36 trillion in debt. This is why we have devalued our currency by about 90 cents on the purchasing power of $1 over the last century, because the institutional people who do government historically, not to mention the administrative, the fourth branch of government, the bureaucracy, the administrative state, I mean, nobody actually believes that. So I just, the finger wagging in the direction of Musk, both in terms of his business acumen, I mean, first and foremost, his business acumen, and then that he and his tech support people that can, algorithmically discern the waste, fraud, and abuse that everybody runs on, but very few people want to do anything about once they get elected, that they can discern this for policymakers to say, is this, and for the public to see, so that people can ask the question and come to their own conclusion. Is this a good use of taxpayer dollars? Is this a good use of taxpayer dollars?
He should be hailed as a hero when he's not.
That is the left's Musk derangement syndrome. That's one of the best illustrations I've seen recently. Mm-hmm. Something else, though, that happened last week that is not getting the attention it deserves, because it certainly should prompt some inquiries regarding the previous administration, is this confirmation from astronauts that are stranded that Musk did indeed offer to send a help to rescue them. And that the Biden administration was not interested.
Elon Musk has said that he made the offer to bring you guys back earlier and that it was denied. My first question is that true? And if so, what would that have looked like? Was he offering to make another flight, push seats on another flight? Could you give us some background there?
I can only say that Mr. Musk, what he says is absolutely factual. We have no information on that, though, whatsoever. What was offered, what was not offered, who it was offered to, how that process went. That's information that we simply don't have. So I believe him. I don't know all those details, and I don't think any of us really can give you the answer that you would be hoping for.
Leave no man behind. Isn't that our mantra? They left Butch Wilmore, who you just heard from, and Suni Williams behind.
They've been there. Dan, they were supposed to be there for 7 days. They've been there for months, almost a year.
They went up last June.
Yeah, I know. It's almost a year. Well, hopefully, and I think SpaceX is going to be leaving soon to go and get them. But, I mean, anybody who's claustrophobic, even looking at that story and looking at them is just a horrific thing. And thank God somebody came to their help, and that's Elon Musk once again. He's not charging them to have them pick them up.
Well, what I want to know, and we should all want to know, why Elon Musk's help was denied. Now, this is going to become center of attention again. SpaceX capsule is scheduled to carry 4 astronauts to the International Space Station later today, which will clear the way for those 2 astronauts that have been stranded to finally return to Earth. Musk and Trump have been talking about this. They've claimed both that this was politically motivated. Butch Wilmore, one of the astronauts, I mean, he at least confirmed that the offer was made, and it clearly wasn't taken up. So some Biden or whoever signing stuff for him in the administration needs to be prompted to respond to this. Trump said just last week Biden was embarrassed by what happened, and he said leave them up there. And I mean, that's what Trump is claiming. That's what Trump is claiming. We don't know that that's exactly what was said, but we should be asking the question of the decision-making process that led the Biden administration, starting with the big guy, to reject the offer made by Musk after, by the way, they were stranded because the experimental Boeing capsule they took into orbit malfunctioned. So here comes SpaceX with the offer to rescue them, denied, and now SpaceX has a capsule going up today. Hopefully it all works out, and hopefully these astronauts are returned to Earth. And I hope maybe that the attention, if everything goes right, the attention on this will demand questions be answered by the previous administration. And maybe the astronauts will have more to say about that themselves. That would be nice.
I mean, this is a big, huge story, and every cable network, every local news station should have this, that request to return was denied because of what? It's Elon Musk who's supporting Trump. You know, that's the whole thing about it.
Larry in Elmhurst. Hey, Larry.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
All you need to know about Michael Steele is he voted for Biden, And I'm just wondering what his cut is out of some of these phony projects that are going on.
Yeah, all you need to know is that Michael Steele's on MSNBC singing for a supper. Craig in Mount Greenwood, who we met, by the way, in person, live and in person. It's our Food for the Poor Benefactors soiree last week, Craig.
Hi.
Yeah. Hey, it was really great meeting you guys in person. And
yeah, it was.
Yeah, really appreciated the great hospitality in that in Salem. I'll tell you what, just having our backs with conservatives and Christian, I mean, it's dynamite. And so really glad you guys are doing what you're doing. Okay, Michael Steele missed out on a golden opportunity. He could have been doing some real serious bragging and told the world how, hey, we're able to offload our government. People are able to offload hundreds of billions of dollars to all our enemies all over the world while sitting at home collecting checks, doing nothing and everything on autopilot. So, yeah, the left's got that autopilot going on, getting rid of all of our tax dollars to enemies.
Thanks for the call, Craig. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
You know, nothing beats the comfort of a perfectly heated home.
And when it comes to heating your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Air Right Heating and Cooling is fast. When your furnace breaks down, they'll fix it right away.
Just like that. Big time results. No waiting around. You get the job done right. And let's face it, who doesn't love being warm, right? It's beautiful. When it's freezing, I crank up that amazing furnace. Burn, baby, burn. Trust me, you'll say, wow, I've never felt this warm in my life.
If you like keeping your hard-earned money, then contact Air Right Heating and Cooling and tell them AM560 sent you to receive $56 off any service.
Unbelievable.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Sign up for the AM560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage. AM560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, the DOE is DOA, 6:06.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
A man shot overnight outside O'Hare's Terminal 2. Police are investigating. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Europe is retaliating. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. To the new U.S. tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports that went into effect this morning.
$26 billion worth of U.S. goods will be affected by the tariffs announced in Brussels today. They're being imposed on imports of products ranging from boats to bourbon to motorbikes. Strong but proportionate, says European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. She admits they're bad for business, but European leaders feel they have to respond.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. Now, the president had threatened to double the steel and aluminum tariffs on Canada as punishment for a charge on electricity being sent to the U.S., but he backed down when that charge was canceled. The president insists tariffs will make the U.S. money and bring manufacturing back.
Other countries have taken away our business. They've taken away our jobs.
Now, tariff fears have been hurting the economy, and that led to a big stock market sell-off. The Dow has plunged 2,500 points so far this month. The House has passed a bill to provide government funding to prevent a shutdown by Friday's deadline. House Speaker Mike Johnson says
it falls on the desk of Chuck Schumer. He is the leader of the Democrats on that side, and he must determine whether he wants to fund the government, do the responsible thing, or whether he wants to shut the government down.
Now, Republicans will need support from some Senate Democrats to pass the bill that House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries opposes, hoping the Senate version gets rid of proposed cuts to some programs.
The strong House Democratic vote in opposition to this reckless Republican spending bill speaks for itself.
Now, in Ukraine, the U.S. has resumed military aid and intelligence sharing after that country agreed to a 30-day ceasefire. President Trump says
now we have to go to Russia and hopefully President Putin will agree to that also.
Well, the U.S. had talks in Saudi Arabia also last month with the Russians. America's listening to Fox News.
39 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago police continue investigating after a man was shot outside Terminal 2 at O'Hare. Police confirm it happened around 1 a.m. outside the lower-level baggage terminal, a fight ending with gunfire outside that terminal. A missing woman surviving for nearly 1 week in her car after crashing into a creek in northwest Indiana.
I just can't wait to hug her and kiss her.
The family of Breonna Castle yesterday saying she went missing Wednesday after leaving her mother's home to visit friends in the area of Wheatfield and DeMott, Indiana. Newton County Sheriff's Office saying a passerby operating heavy equipment for DeYoung drainage found that vehicle off the roadway in a ditch and out of view.
The first piece of clothing she tried to do that with, she actually dropped and it fell and it was in the water. But then that shirt she was able to hang on to, and she was able to get water that way. And if she would have gone that long without water, she'd never survived.
Fire Chief Jeremy Vanderwall was next on the scene, saying Castle survived by dipping a hoodie in that creek water. She's recovering from severe injuries after being airlifted to Christ Hospital in Oak Lawn. A man accused of gunning down a Chicago high school student in 2013 will remain in custody while he awaits a new trial. Mikhail Ward was found guilty in 2018 of the shooting and killing of Hadia Pendleton and was sentenced to 84 years in prison. 5 years later, his conviction was overturned on appeal. Former suburban police chief is scheduled to face a judge on DUI charges following his arrest late last year. Former Bridgeview chief of police Walter Klimek was arrested in Justice in December after being suspected of driving under the influence. He was then charged with misdemeanor resisting arrest. Klimek is due back in court at the Markham Courthouse early this morning. And a northwest Indiana neighborhood is getting a facelift. Gary officials are demolishing 24 abandoned buildings in its Etna neighborhood. Leaders hope to clean up the community and make room for new development. Last year, Gary tore down 35 other structures, while 49 were partially torn down and then renovated. Ahead of their Japan opener next Tuesday, the Cubs lost in spring ball to Milwaukee 9-7. White Sox bested by San Diego 7-5. Notre Dame with a win in the ACC men's basketball tournament, 55-54 over Pitt. And Gonzaga upset St. Mary's to win the West Coast Conference title. The Big Ten tournament also gets underway in Indy for Northwestern and Illinois this week. The news, a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor, Valdecast.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Actions
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House.
have consequences.
The chair now directs the Sergeant at Arms to restore order.
Whether in Congress
That Representative Al Green be censured.
or elsewhere.
There are instances of organizations receiving billions of dollars that had no previous record of doing any type of work.
Someone is going to pay with jail time.
Talk about what it all means.
Taking U.S. citizens will be answered in the toughest way possible.
On AM 560. The Answer.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This month and every month, we remember the over 66 million babies whose lives have been senselessly sacrificed on the altar of abortion. Surely, the left doesn't understand the repercussions of a land that takes the blood of the innocent. And that should only motivate us more to save more babies and their moms. Preborn is a network of clinics, and they fight every day to save more babies and more moms. To date, they've rescued over 300,000 babies' lives by introducing a mom to her child on an ultrasound. That baby's chance at life doubles. Preborn showers moms and babies with God's love and assistance for up to 2 years. So when they shout abortion, we shout life. Let's save more babies this year than last. One ultrasound is just $28, and only $140 will help rescue 5 babies. All of the gifts are tax deductible. So donate securely. Dial pound 250. Say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby. Or go to preborn.com/hope. Preborn.com/hope. Sponsored by Preborn.
So how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Going to be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration? Like mediation?
Sort of, but better. We'll have a firm decision.
Oh, that's easier. Who's your arbitrator?
Bert Hochberg.
That attorney at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck?
Yeah, senior partner. Comes highly recommended.
Are you facing divorce or a family law issue? Burton S. Hochberg offers arbitration services, a dispute resolution process that will save you time, money, and the complexity of litigation. Let Burton hear and resolve your claims with choices that best suit you and yours. To discuss, call Bert directly. Or even better, have your attorney call Bert at 773-255-6150. That's 773-255-6150. Again, 773-255-6150. No one knows arbitration like Bert Hochberg. Why go through a difficult divorce? Call Bert at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck, Chicago's preeminent family law firm since 1981.
37 degrees. 6:09 is our time. Let's get an update on the roads, a service of FoxValleyCoins.com. Buying all gold and silver bars, coins, silver dollars, rare date proof, and mint sets. FoxValleyCoins.com. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, we see, due to an earlier stalled semi, the outbound Kennedy jammed up between Belmont and Irving Park. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, tapping the brakes already northbound, right at Bryn Mawr. Tri-State, southbound 294, hitting the brakes right at the Reagan, I-88. And an accident cleared on 8094 eastbound, right at Torrance. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sun and high clouds today, high 53. Clear tonight, low 35. And then sunny tomorrow, the high 59. Clouds and sun, shower and a heavy thunderstorm by nightfall on Friday. High Friday afternoon at 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
34 in Aurora. 36 along Chicago's lakefront. 34 officially at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, sort of building on the conversation we were having at the end of last hour about Elon Musk and Musk derangement syndrome. It is reaching new heights, not just because of Trump's Tesla car buying spree yesterday, but also because it was announced yesterday that the Department of Education has initiated layoffs of 1,315 employees. They will be put on administrative leave starting March 21st. 1,315 of the total employees at DOE is 3,500, 3,498 to be precise. That's my understanding. So 1,300 of the 3,498, and Linda McMahon, secretary at DOE, has said when all is said and done, the workforce at Department of Education should be reduced by half. So
yeah, 4,400 people gone by then.
How's that?
Well, Axios is saying that the Education Department. I'm just saying that Axios is reporting that the Education Department is cutting its workforce by some 4,400 people by nearly 50%. And it's a reduction in force notices were handed out yesterday. Or started to go out.
Well, the number, you get different reporting on the numbers. The numbers I'm seeing are 3,498 total employees, and half will be RIFT, so that would be that's 2249, 1315, so you'd have another 1,000 employees to go. But whatever the number is, 50, the fact that the D.C. Press Corps has different reporting on how many employees are at these agencies speaks to how opaque has been their operation, how little understanding there is about the size and scope, little appreciation for it. But regardless, you're talking about reducing the Department of Education in half, and ultimately, I know Trump's mind's eye is to abolish it. This has been something that conservatives have been talking about for a long time. Every presidential cycle, at least since Reagan. I know Department of Education came to be under Carter, so that's that agency. But other agencies that predate the Department of Education, every election cycle, at least since Reagan, you have presidential candidates on the Republican side talking about, I'm going to eliminate this agency and that agency and this agency because they're superfluous, they're redundant, they're unnecessary, they're bureaucracies that don't seem to be responsive to the people's will as expressed through their elected representatives. But of course, you're going to hear the hue and cry from Randy Weingarten and the other teachers union bosses and their dutiful apparatchiks and people that for some reason have been buffaloed into believing that they are to bow at the altar of government school systems that are dominated by teachers unions. So what say you? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line. Of course, if he wants to eliminate the agency altogether, then he needs congressional action on that. I know he'd get Thomas Massey's vote back in the fold.
Oh, he can?
I think Thomas Massey would be on board for these sorts of reductions.
Well, I would like somebody to explain, what exactly do you do? How have you helped our children? How have you educated our children? Because math and reading scores right now are pretty darn low. And I know some of it's due to COVID, but still, what's their purpose?
No, all of it is due to what happens at the local level. The U.S. Department of Education is in the business of educating children. It's in the business of drop shipping money to school districts
and deciding who gets what.
Yeah, well, and that the question is right. What are they funding? Who is making those funding decisions, and how does the money flow? I mean, that's what all of this is. How does the money flow? Who is making the spend decisions? What is the impact of those spend decisions and that distribution of money? That's what everything DOJ is doing is about. And the Department of Education is completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. Number one, education is primarily a state and local matter, as we know. It's primarily funded at the state and local level. And, rather than sending money to D.C. to come back in the form of grants for government school systems, you figure that out locally. If you're going to have, I'm supportive of the idea of if the Department of Education is going to exist and it's going to have a budget, then basically just voucherize that budget and use that for scholarships for kids in places where kids are denied scholarships, like Illinois. I'm all for that if it's going to exist, but I don't think it should exist in the first place. It goes back to the Malay approach in Argentina and his chainsaw guy, his Elon Musk. Is this something the federal government should be doing? That's the question that should be asked. And if the answer is no, then stop doing it.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that line. Well, you know how USAID is going under the Secretary of State is now department is going to be in charge of USAID or what's left of it. What about the Department of Education? Who's going to be giving out grants? Is any department going to be taking them under their wing, or just dissolve it completely?
Well, dissolve it completely because you don't need this redundant bureaucracy if the only thing you're going to be doing is providing scholarships and or, as we've talked about before, Title VI and Title IX funding. I mean, that can be administered by HHS. We talked about that with Rick Hess from the American Enterprise Institute. This is not that complicated. The stream of money can flow through another agency rather than having another agency exist with all these employees just to watch the stream. So the hue and cry about, oh, Trump is taking away and it's going to be funds for students with disabilities and this and that. No, that's not true. That's not true. It's statutory. The funding is there. It will be distributed. I mean, we can have a larger conversation about how we should provide those funds, but it's not true that it's going away. This is more of the Chicken Little routine that the left is doing because they are so reflexively anti-Trump and anti-Musk. They don't even take the time to listen and understand the particular issue. They're too busy, singing protest songs and being silly rather than being substantive, because they're really not interested in being substantive. They're interested in being silly. They're maladjusted adult children. So this is what you're dealing with. And this is why it's important to continue to explain and put out information to bring people along every step of the way, which actually I think Doge is doing a pretty good job of, as are many of these cabinet secretaries, from Rubio, from Lee Zeldin, Hegseth, all communicating directly through social media, through press conferences, providing documentation to explain exactly what they're finding and exactly what they're doing about what they're finding. That is the proper approach. And it represents a real culture change that has begun under this administration, and it couldn't be more important. The culture change couldn't be more important, that this is the way we're going to do business in this administration, and hopefully it can be propagated in subsequent administrations. George in Naperville.
Yes, maybe these people who lost their jobs in the Department of Education could get rehired when the Democrats get back in power and be the re-education department.
Hi-oh. Thanks for the call, George. Something else, too, just on this Doge front that's important to note. Oh, the aggrieved federal workers. It really isn't personal. It starts from this basis. Number one, government is doing things it shouldn't be doing or attempting to do. It's in businesses and sectors it shouldn't be in. And to the extent it should be, or we agree that it should be, we come to that conclusion, then it can be in those spaces in different ways, more effective ways. And there, by extension, it logically follows that 2 million employees at the federal level is too many. I'm sure there are, as we've read op-eds from them, people that are Trump supporters at USAID or at the Department of Education, probably not many, but a few, I'm sure, that are going to get caught up and lose their jobs. So it's not personal. It's not based on your politics. It's based on this idea government is doing things it shouldn't be doing, not doing them well, and we have too many people. And also too many contractors, too many NGOs that are on the dole as well. And the point I was getting to is it's not just the little guy, the aggrieved federal worker with their tears for the camera. The big guys, Booz Allen Hamilton, that massive management consulting firm that we find out it has about 90% of its revenue now comes from federal contracts, as well as Deloitte and IBM. So huge corporations that are also big rent seekers. And also, I think, as they're digging, finding out, have real sweetheart contracts with very little oversight that pay them way above market rate for the work product they're providing. And they're in the crosshairs, too. The biggest of big guys are in the crosshairs, these big corporations that are huge tax eaters. Good. They should be. Bill and Glen Ellen.
Yeah, I know it takes Congress to actually get rid of the department. But why don't you just fire all of the employees except for one, rent the office in a strip mall, and let that one employee just answer the phone? That would go along, at least a good start.
All right, thanks for the call, Bill. We want to do this in a methodical way. And so, yeah, I mean, I I appreciate the visual, but I think that, riffing 1,300 employees out of DOE and moving to shrink the size of that staff by half is not inconsequential.
And 600 took the early buyout, so that's good. But Dan, imagine, it's what, $70 billion a year they get, Department of Education?
Yeah, maybe closer to 100.
If they gave each state $1 billion, in Illinois, though, they'd piss it away and somebody do something fraudulent with it. But other states, that money could actually go, to build new schools, get paid teachers more or something. Yeah. Or is that just a pipe dream?
Well, it does go. 10% of CPS's budget comes from the federal government. You also have, federal supports for free and reduced school lunch programs. There's a lot of ways that there is federal support at the local level. But, at the end of the day, a little belt tightening at the federal level will hopefully compel more belt tightening at the state and local level, rather than this money getting drop shipped so that educrats think they can build Taj Mahals and layer on administrative staff. I was thinking about this when it came down yesterday that they were starting to move on riffing people at the Department of Education. And I just remember, going back in the vault here, remembered Steve Jobs talking about K through 12 education, as so many have for so many decades, and all the money that we've spent, as we talk about all the time in Illinois, in Chicago, all the money that's been spent. Steve Jobs gave this interview in 1995 talking about teachers' unions and K through 12 education. And Milton Friedman was talking about this in 1955.
Wow.
We've done such a terrible job at such an unbelievable expense of educating kids because we fund bureaucracies. We don't invest in kids and their education directly. And it was never about, teachers are not paying teachers commensurate with their worth. It was always about allowing the unions to have a monopoly, because monopolies kill quality. The lack of competition kills quality. So these are Soviet systems. And this is what we're getting at. And the great thing about what Trump is doing, Trump and Musk and company, as I've been saying from the outset, not just what they're doing substantively right now with the billions, probably hundreds of billions at this point across all these agencies in projected savings when you actually get to the budgeting process now that the CR has been moved. But the conversation he is compelling, this administration is compelling. The big conversation that he is compelling about what we should and shouldn't be doing, about can't we do this better, about we tighten our belts, you tighten your belts, about thinking about how we do big things and why it is we can't do them better when we continue to pour more and more resources and get less and less quality on the output side. Steve Jobs in 95.
I'd like the people that are teaching my kids to be good enough that they could get a job at the company I work for making $100,000 a year. Well, why should they work at a school for $35,000, $40,000 a year if they could get a job here at $100,000 a year? I think we should basically be hiring them and paying them $100,000 a year, but the problem there, of course, is the unions. The unions are the worst thing that ever happened to education because it's not a meritocracy. It turns into a bureaucracy, which is exactly what's happened. And teachers can't teach, and administrators run the place, and nobody can be fired. It's terrible. And I've been very strong believer that what we need to do in education is go to the full voucher system. I know this isn't what you care about, but this is what I care about a great deal. What happens when a customer goes away and a monopoly gets control, which is what's happened in our country, is that the service level almost always goes down. I remember seeing a bumper sticker when the telephone company was all one, AT&T, the Bell system. I remember seeing a bumper sticker with the Bell logo on it, and it said, "We don't care. We don't have to." You know? And that's what a monopoly is. That's what IBM was in their day, and that's certainly what the public school system is. They don't have to care.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That's why they spend all their time telling you how much they care, because they have to cover the results. Because the results suggest they don't. Whatever they say. It's interesting what you say, and then I watch what you do and what you produce, and there couldn't be a bigger disconnect.
Got a text message from an administrator. Dan and Amy, a big part of the problem is that schools get more federal funding if they have undereducated children, i.e. if they are on welfare and other government programs, they get more government money.
Right. Free and reduced school lunch support and so forth. No, I agree, but the structure is the problem. The Politburo structure of government schooling at the K through 12 level is the problem. Tony and Roselle.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I have 2 points now. One was I had two friends, conservative and liberal, arguing 1 year over policy. And my liberal friend said, the Democrats have spent all this money going back to 19 whatever, and you guys are against the poor. And hyper-conservative friend said, you've always confused spending with accomplishing. Where has all this funding and spending moved the needle? I will wait for your answer. And he never answered.
100%.
Number two, I don't want to get too far. Number two, I don't want to forget that the students in Chicago are now they're spending $30,000 a student in Chicago for education. And 5% of kids can do math proficiently, and 20% can read at grade level. That is beyond appalling.
Yeah, right. Thanks for the call, Tony. I know we've talked about it a lot, and we've been talking about it for years, and the measurements have been dismal for generations, and yet
we've watched the spend go up too, like $25,000 a student. Now it's $30,000 a student for what?
Yeah, and when Steve Jobs was talking, and back in '95, it was probably under $10,000 a student. It just goes up exponentially, and you get what in return? But there's no political will to do anything. It's a political will problem. Well, there's political will at the federal level to do something. Well, if and when it ever comes to the state and local level in a place like Illinois, I don't know. But it's always been a political will problem. Right. Confusing spending with accomplishment. Right, of course. I want to show you how much I care, so I'm going to take other people's money and throw it at the system. And I can say, look, and this is competition. This is the only competition. The competition is between politicians. And in this state, Republicans, absolutely. I secured more money for the school. So what? You think that's an accomplishment? What is it producing? I secured more money for my school in Barrington. I secured more money for the schools in Lake Bluff. So what? It's the same. It's like Hillary Clinton talking about her foreign policy experience, all these places she's traveled. Remember, and when Carly Fiorina famously said, you're confusing travel with accomplishment. Traveling to North Africa or the Middle East is not an accomplishment. That doesn't signify that you have geopolitical or diplomatic chops because you're running around visiting all these places and you have a title. It's the quality of your thinking. It's the quality of the advice and counsel. It's the quality of the decision making. It seems like such a simple concept, but I'm glad that Tony brought it up because it evades the understanding of so many people. Why do you cheerlead? Why do we collectively cheerlead politicians when they're patting themselves on the back and they are because it's in mailers and television commercials? He cut funding. I secured more funding. Cutting funding is always bad, and securing more funding is always good. Really? So that we can pay more and get less? Yay! Joe in Hoffman Estates.
Okay, Dan, what you're talking about right now is exactly what needs to be said and how it needs to be said. And I don't think the administration is doing it where the layperson can understand it, like the caller's friend. He probably doesn't listen to 560. Who knows what he's doing all day as far as news? It needs to be articulated in a way that someone that really doesn't have a grasp of what's going on would have a better understanding. You guys are saying it exactly how it should be said. People would say this makes sense.
Thanks for the call, Joe. Well, I am available to serve as a Musk spokesman if he needs me.
Okay.
Just give me a ring.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Speaking of diplomatic and geopolitical chops, Fred Fleitz joins us at 6:36 to talk about the potential ceasefire in Eastern Europe and other matters of war and peace. 6:36.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom once again and say good morning to Mike Scott.
Here in Chicago, 37 degrees, and we're watching the cleanup outside Terminal 2 at O'Hare after a shooting overnight, and a very tense situation in Pakistan, where this morning security forces are exchanging gunfire with hundreds of separatist militants seeking to try and free about 250 hostages on board a train. At least 30 militants have been killed so far. Security forces have rescued nearly 200 passengers in Pakistan, and the gunfire continues. President Donald Trump has officially increased tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports to 25%, promising the taxes will help create U.S. factory jobs. The EU announcing its own countermeasures this morning. Ursula von der Leyen of the European Commission saying the EU is responding with countermeasures at about $28 billion, they say. Officials say Russian ballistic missiles have killed at least 5 in Ukraine. The attack today came a day after the Trump administration lifted suspension of military aid for Kyiv's fight against Russia's invasion, and Ukrainian officials signaled they were open to a 30-day ceasefire. The House voting on a measure that avoids a possible shutdown Friday. The proposed legislation from Speaker Mike Johnson would fund the federal government through the end of September, and he had a warning for Senate Democrats.
They will be responsible for every troop who misses a paycheck, for every flight delay from reduced staffing at TSA, for every negative consequence that comes from shutting down the government.
House Republicans did get help from a Democrat to maintain a razor-thin margin there in order to assure passage. A missing woman survived for nearly 1 week in her car after crashing into a creek in northwest Indiana.
I just can't wait to hug her and kiss her.
Family of Breonna Castle said she went missing last Wednesday. The Newton County Sheriff's Office says an operator of heavy equipment for DeYoung Drainage found that vehicle off the roadway in a ditch near a creek, out of view from nearby passing traffic. A man accused of gunning down a Chicago high school student in 2013 will remain in custody while he awaits new trial. Mikhail Ward was found guilty in 2018 of the shooting and killing of Hadia Pendleton. 5 years later, his sentence was overturned on appeal. Authorities are searching for several suspects who committed smash and grabs at several businesses in a shopping plaza on Chicago's northwest side. The crime happened yesterday in the 4700 block of West Foster, and there is no one in custody. Yesterday in Springfield, the Illinois Pollution Control Board considered adopting many of California's vehicle emission standards. National Federation of Independent Businesses Illinois State Director Noah Finley tells us raising the cost of transportation and driving would impact every small business in the state.
We did a survey of our members, our small business members earlier this year, and 99% of them oppose the adoption of these new mandates.
The mandate includes the banning of gas-powered vehicles by 2035. The Illinois Pollution Control Board held a hearing on that proposal yesterday. Similar measures were proposed in 2023 but did not advance. Ahead of the Japan opener next Tuesday, Cubs lost in spring ball to Milwaukee 9-7. White Sox bested by Gavin Sheets in San Diego 7-5. College tournament hoops, Gonzaga upset St. Mary's to win the West Coast Conference title. Notre Dame a win in the ACC tournament, 55-54 over Pitt. And former pro golfer Tiger Woods recovering after an Achilles tendon repair. The news, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over if you have medical PPO insurance. Find out how you could save 90% on average to get your smile back at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Actions
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House.
have consequences.
The chair now directs the Sergeant at Arms to restore order.
whether in Congress,
that Representative Al Green be censured,
or elsewhere.
There are instances of organizations receiving billions of dollars that had no previous record of doing any type of work.
Someone is going to pay with jail time.
Talk about what it all means.
Taking U.S. citizens will be answered in the toughest way possible.
On AM 560. The Answer.
National security is at risk, and China controls most of the world's supply of antimony, a critical metal for military and defense technology. Military Metals Corp is taking action and securing a Western-controlled supply with projects in Europe and North America. Critical minerals are the backbone of modern defense. Now's the time to pay attention. The stock trades on the OTC under ticker MILIF. Call your broker today or go to www.militarymetalscorp.com to learn more.
Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com. Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere, delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Samsung TV Plus, channel 1177. Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions and you'll destroy your life. Listen to The Flatline with Rick Hughes this Sunday morning at 7. The Flatline describes a main line of resistance in your soul built on God's Word. Listen this Sunday for inspiration, motivation, education, all without manipulation. That's The Flatline with Rick Hughes this Sunday morning at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on SingleCare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to SingleCare.com or download the free app today.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
6:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update, a service of ExpressPros.com. Let Express Employment Professionals help you hire for contract or full-time jobs. To find the location near you, go to ExpressPros.com. That's ExpressPros.com. Kennedy on the inbound side. It's right now 35 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike-in right now, 50 minutes from 390 into the old post office. Tri-State stop and go due to road work. It's a mess between southbound between the Ike and Roosevelt Road, and an accident reported on Pulaski northbound approaching 60th, and Chicago police are on the scene of a vehicle that has gone into a building. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sun through the high clouds today, a high of 53, clear and 35 overnight. 34 in Aurora, 36 along the lakefront, officially 34 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Zelensky's about-face continues. The talks in Saudi Arabia yesterday, where Secretary of State Marco Rubio, NSA Mike Walls were present, representing the Trump administration, yielded the following. Marco Rubio announced.
Today we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation. I want to personally we both want to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty, for hosting us, for making this possible. They've been instrumental in this process, and we're very grateful to them for hosting us here today. And hopefully we'll take this offer now to the Russians. And we hope that they'll say yes, to peace. The ball's now in their court. And but again, the president's objective here is, number one, above everything else, he wants the war to end. And I think today Ukraine has taken a concrete step in that regard. We hope the Russians will reciprocate.
Well, Ukraine was over a barrel since aid and intelligence sharing had stopped. And this is something that Zelensky should have foreseen before he decided to conduct himself the way that he did in the Oval Office the other week. So anyway, this is some hopeful progress. And even if Russia were to agree to this 30-day ceasefire and stop attacking, which they are currently, are we really on the path to a lasting peace? Is there going to be such a thing that we can ever count on when dealing with Putin? Let's put that to Fred Fleitz. He's the vice chair of the America First Policy Institute Center for American Security. He previously served as National Security Council Chief of Staff, as well as a CIA analyst and a House Intel Committee staff member. Fred, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Good to be here. Good morning.
Morning. So what of this apparent progress towards peace?
I think it's a significant step forward. Remember, just over a week ago, Zelensky was absolutely against a ceasefire until other issues were resolved first. He wanted some kind of security assurance. He wanted to talk about territory, NATO membership. But Trump's priority is to stop the killing and to address these issues in negotiations. And this could take time. Some of them may never be resolved. I think Trump took the right approach. The challenge now is to get this to Putin, to get him to agree to this. Trump said yesterday outside the White House that he will be calling Putin to try to get him to sign on. And I think it will take more than sanctions. I think we have to make a case to Putin that this is an historic opportunity with the only leader on the political scene, maybe ever, who will give him the best deal possible to end this agreement. That's Donald Trump. Let's just hope that Putin does the right thing and accepts it.
Well, in terms of what would persuade Putin to accept this, I mean, to genuinely accept it, not to accept it with the idea of using this to retrench and prepare for more warmongering in 30 days or before then, for that matter. Is there anything specific in terms of a carrot or stick that Trump should add to his public threat of sanctions?
Well, I mean, Russia will eventually win this war, but it's going to be at a very high cost. But in terms of carrots, we could say to Putin that Ukraine will be neutral. We can't get Ukraine into NATO, even if we wanted to, because it would take a unanimous vote. But I think welcoming Russia back into the community of nations, lowering sanctions, maybe someday allowing it to enter the G8, putting forward a better path for Russia and the Russian people, I think is the best incentive that Trump can offer. Now, that's going to take time, and I think that if sanctions ever were lowered on Russia, I think a percentage of Russian revenues has to be used to rebuild Ukraine. But the case we have to make to Putin is that there is another way, and there is a leader on the world scene that will make him the best deal possible.
Just to role play on this for a second. What if Putin said, "Okay, President Trump, well, let's. I need you to lower the hostility towards Russia's sale of oil and gas to Western Europe. And in fact, I want to be able to sort of compete on the open market, or maybe even he may even demand something better than that, to make sure that we can sell our goods to Western Europe, or like we have been." What should Is that a point on which Trump should provide some latitude? Because, of course, Putin needs to prop up his economy just like any dictator.
I think there'll be a proposal to at least partially lower sanctions on Russia, but there may be some strings attached as an incentive to get Russia to go along. As I said, a percentage of those revenues could be used to rebuild Ukraine.
What's the timeline of all of this? I mean, is this? I know it's out there. So, is this? How soon do you think Putin will respond?
I think we'll get an answer one way or another within the last week. We then have to talk about how to implement the ceasefire. There's talk about a peacekeeping force of European and non-European states to monitor compliance. I'm sure that was hotly discussed in Ukraine because there's different interpretations of what that force should be. Some people want it to be an offensive military force that would enforce a ceasefire. That is something Putin wouldn't accept. I think it's going to have to be traditional peacekeepers who are lightly armed and are there with the consent of both parties.
I've seen a couple of foreign policy deep thinkers suggest that a test case for the ceasefire will be to see if Russia agrees. I mean, a test case that this is a real thing will be to see if the fighting stops in the Kursk region. Do you agree with that as sort of a bellwether to assess how serious Russia is if they first provided verbal support for a ceasefire?
I think that's fair, and Kursk may be a stumbling point because Kursk is an area of Russia that was taken by Ukraine that Russia is in the process of taking back. So will that area be frozen? Will Ukraine have to give that back to Russia to get a ceasefire deal? I don't know, but that's going to be a thorny issue to resolve.
I wanted to get your view on a couple of other matters, including the rolling suspension of security clearances. Tulsi Gabbard suspending the security clearances for people like Anthony Blinken and Jake Sullivan. And this is on the back of security clearance suspensions for Brennan and Milley and others. All the sort of the high-profile deep state enemies of Trump and this administration. How should the public view sort of the security clearances deal back and forth? Biden, of course, killed security briefings for former President Trump during his time, and now there's reciprocal security clearance repeals happening. What are we to make of the importance of that?
Most Americans don't realize that these extremely high security clearances held by senior government officials, they usually keep them after they leave government service, supposedly so they can help the government if the government ever needs to consult with them. But what really happens is they use these clearances to get extremely highly paid contracts with defense and intelligence contractors. This is a privilege, and if the government doesn't want to use these people, and I can tell you that the Trump administration is never going to ask Anthony Blinken anything because of his role in the Hunter laptop letter.
Nor should they.
They shouldn't hold the clearances.
Yeah.
And when they have them, it allows them to talk to people with other clearances. They're getting access to information they don't need. This is a system that's been abused for a long time. So I support pulling these clearances from people who are not in the government and are not doing government work.
I want to also get your view on Romania and the Ceausescu election ban there. Some people have raised this, J.D. Vance in particular, as an example of this is Eastern Europe, of course, but Western Europe and Eastern Europe. This was supported by the Western Europe. That how they do not represent not just American values, but the values of free minds and free markets. And he went through a couple of illustrations famously in that speech he gave, and they continue to pile up.
Well, what's happening is, as a popular candidate to lead the country is being barred from election because he's too conservative and too controversial in the country. It is a very bad precedent for democracy. Western Europe is involved in it. The Romanian government, the Romanian courts are involved. I think that this is just going to continue in Romania, but I hope it doesn't become a trend.
One more region to tackle. I'm really ready to bang the drums of war after I saw these pro-Gaza, pro-Palestinian Hamas sympathizers deface Trump's Turnberry golf course in Scotland with the "Gaza is not for sale" imprint on a fairway. Now they've got my attention.
Now they're going to flip cars over.
Right? Yeah, I'm ready to go to the front. But Saudi Arabia, on a serious note, Saudi Arabia sort of making a public statement about, we meaning the Arab world, should give Trump some cover here for the leadership he's providing in the Middle East. We should allow him, give his proposal serious consideration and be constructive and engaging with him and so forth. I just thought that was really interesting. Is that Saudi Arabia basically saying, sure, you do it because we don't want to?
Well, the Saudis appreciate an American president who's supportive of them. The relationship with Biden was so rocky. Remember, I think Biden called the Saudi royal family a pariah just before he was elected in 2020. Concerning Trump's plan to rebuild Gaza, I see it as an initiative to smoke out other plans. And there's a very good plan that Egypt has put forward that most Arab states are behind. Sounds like the Saudis aren't writing off Trump's plan, but the nice thing about this, and the Wall Street Journal wrote about this, the editorial board, they hate Trump and they hate this plan.
Right.
They admitted that Trump forced the Arab world to face its hypocrisies about Gaza. They talk about how they care about the people of Gaza, but they don't want to do anything about it.
And to the extent that they do take the lead, they want America's backing. I mean, financially and in other material ways, I suspect. And this is why the bon mots are flowing.
I think that's right. But I mean, when America comes up with a plan where it's going to take control of territory and move people out of an area, that gets everyone's attention.
Yeah.
And there's pretty solid opposition to what Trump has proposed, but he is forcing them to come up with alternatives, and I think that's a good thing.
Fred Fleitz, Vice Chair of the America First Policy Institute Center for American Security, previously served as National Security Council Chief of Staff and a CIA analyst, as well as a House Intel Committee staff member. Fred, thank you for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Good to be here. Thanks.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank that cares about your business and is invested in your success. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Chris Johnson, CEO of Classic Cinemas and proud customer of Signature Bank. We are a local family-owned business that is known for free refills on all sizes of popcorn, soft drinks, and ices. With over 9,000 heated recliners in 16 locations, we marry the traditions of the past with today's state-of-the-art technology. Throw in a 30-minute guarantee and an after-movie mint, and you have the perfect night out. As we strive to make every guest our priority, Signature Bank does the same with their customers. The team at Signature Bank is interested in taking my company forward. They have all the resources and solutions of the big banks, but they customize their offerings to meet my business needs. The customer always comes first with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Guys, if you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait. Find out your numbers by contacting my friends at Low T Center. They make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. They're health providers who specialize in treating low T with personalized testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients, and this is critically important, their treatment plans are optimized for each patient. They're not just basic standard dosage treatments. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best this year. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. Tell them Dan Proft sent you when you do. That's lowtcenter.com. Lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply at lifemd.com. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
Should you pay thousands of dollars for Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, or other GLP-1 medications? We don't think so. TryLifeMD.com specializes in helping get GLP-1 weight loss medications covered by insurance. We know how the system works, and we've helped thousands of people get covered. You pay your insurance every month, and you deserve to have these life-changing medications covered. And if you're on compounded GLP-1s now, TryLifeMD.com can help you find insurance coverage for FDA-approved medication to continue losing weight and to keep the weight off. Insurance companies may not want to help you get covered, but TryLifeMD.com does. Get your free insurance benefits check in minutes at TryLifeMD.com. That's TryLifeMD.com.
All right, listeners are always asking me about QC Kinetic treatments. They want to know if they should consider it for their joint pain. So if you're wondering if you're a good candidate, let's see if you can answer yes to any of these questions. Is your quality of life impacted by chronic pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or other joints? Trouble sleeping, walking, day-to-day movement? Do you want to avoid surgery and all the pain? Long recovery and uncertainty that comes with it? Well, do you miss doing things that you love because of joint pain, like walking, golfing, jogging, pickleball, people? If you answered yes to any of these questions, I bet you're a great candidate. So please don't wait. Contact my friends at QC Kinetics right now and ask for your free consultation. Learn how the latest advances in regenerative medicine can get you lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
Would you go to court without a lawyer when the other guy is lawyered up? Or are you going to go it alone and learn law and procedure as you go? When you have an insurance claim for your home or business, it's the same thing.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company.
Insurance companies will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them. Not you.
If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%, and we could do the same for you. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I wasn't afraid of the market sell-off until Mad Money Jim Cramer said, "Don't let the sell-off scare me." Now I am out of my mind with fear. Hopefully Brian Westbury can calm me down at 7:07.
And we'll get to that, but first we're going to stop by that newsroom once again. Here is the one and only Mike Scott.
This morning, delays near O'Hare as police continue to investigate a shooting near Terminal 2, lower level, near the baggage claim. Also this morning, a missing woman surviving nearly 1 week after crashing into a creek. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
More death, more destruction. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. In Ukraine, hours after that country's leaders in talks in Saudi Arabia agreed to a U.S. brokered plan for a ceasefire. Russian attacks killed 5 Ukrainian civilians.
The Ukrainian military says Russia launched 3 missiles and 133 drones in an overnight attack, the vast majority of them reportedly intercepted. This as the United States prepares to take Ukraine's ceasefire offer to Russia, a 30-day pause in hostilities. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the ball is in Moscow's court.
Fox's Jonathan Savage, and Rubio just said he'll make contact with Russia today. New U.S. tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports went into effect this morning, with President Trump telling a business leader round table.
That's a lot of money. But the biggest win is if they move into our country and produce jobs. That's a bigger win than the tariffs themselves.
He insists tariffs will lead companies to manufacture more products in the U.S., but There are retaliatory tariffs just announced this morning. The European Union, $26 billion worth of American exports. Canada has also announced tariffs on about $30 billion of U.S. goods. President Trump is taking another step toward his goal of eliminating the Department of Education, ordering half its workforce be cut. Secretary Linda McMahon tells Fox.
We're not taking away education. The president never said that. He's taken the bureaucracy out of education so that more money flows to the states. Better education is closest to the kids.
Democrats warn getting rid of the department, which they could block in Congress, will affect school programs and students. Last night in the House,
on this vote, the yeas are 217.
Approving a bill to fund the government before a Friday deadline. It would trigger a shutdown, but only one Democrat was among the yeas. The rest opposed the plan, saying there are cuts to programs. House Speaker Mike Johnson tells Fox.
It's shameful what happened on the Democrat side. They engaged in a misinformation campaign.
But a compromise looms in the Senate, where in order to pass the bill, Republicans will need some Democrat support. America's listening to Fox News.
37 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Topping our news, a man is shot outside of O'Hare's Terminal 2, lower level near the baggage claim after a fight broke out around 1 a.m. Chicago police say traffic is beginning to move near Terminal 2, lower level, but the police investigation continues. A missing woman survived for nearly 1 week in her car after crashing into a creek in northwest Indiana. The family of Breonna Castle got that news yesterday. She went missing last week after leaving her mother's home to visit a friend near DeMott, Indiana.
That she felt this morning that she was giving up hope, and then she was found.
Resilience and a simple piece of clothing dipped in nearby creek water helped Castle survive nearly 6 days. Newton County Sheriff says it was a passerby operating heavy equipment for DeYoung drainage. When he found that vehicle off the roadway, out of view, Castle is recovering from severe injuries after being airlifted to Christ Hospital in Oak Lawn. How courts are dealing with Illinois' end to cash bail is the subject of two cases that were heard before the Illinois Supreme Court Tuesday. In Illinois versus Cousins, Assistant Attorney General Eric Levin argued the trial court didn't give adequate time for pretrial detention arguments.
We're not going to have like sort of a gotcha system where the hearing didn't go as it should have gone, and so that was the state's only opportunity. And, we're just going to release a defendant without regard to whether or not the evidence shows a danger or a flight risk.
And in a separate firearms-related case, Illinois v. Cooper, the state argued to affirm the lower court's decision on pretrial detention. Assistant Attorney General Aaron O'Connell.
Even assuming that this was 2 hours late, he's not entitled to invalidate the detention order, and the court's authority to detain him was preserved.
Both cases were taken under advisement, rulings in the months ahead. Former suburban police chief is scheduled to face a judge today on DUI charges following his arrest late last year. According to police reports, former Bridgeview chief Walter Klimek was arrested in Justice in December. After being suspected of DUI, he was then charged with misdemeanor resisting arrest. Klimek is due back in court at the Markham courthouse this morning. Chicago sports, little baseball, spring ball ahead of the Japan opener. The Cubs lost to Milwaukee 9-7. White Sox bested by San Diego 7-5. Bulls back in action Thursday at home against Brooklyn, while the Blackhawks continue their road trip Thursday in San Jose. The news is a service of Low T Centers. If you're not feeling that same energy anymore, testosterone therapy or TRT may be the answer. Look for personalized treatment like you'll get with the TRT experts at Low T Center. Book your appointment at lowtcenter.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
When you you need to talk about what's happening today,
Hey, can I talk to you for a second?
there's one place you can come to. The Sean Thompson Show.
Do it! Do it, I dare you. Do it!
Get in the conversation.
Everybody talks about that show. Sounds great, doesn't it?
Weekdays starting at 4.
This is easy.
I like his honesty and his frankness. Every day I listen to him, I learn.
He says what's on his mind. He's real.
Best person out there to listen to. We're combating people who prefer the lie.
He's Sean Thompson, only on AM 560. The Answer.
Meet Kelsey. When she found out she was pregnant, she wasn't sure where to turn. But after meeting with the counselors at a preborn network clinic who loved and supported her, and after hearing her baby's heartbeat on a free ultrasound, she chose life.
When a mother looks at her child through a sonogram, it does something to you. You know, I ended up deciding to keep my son, who is now 5 years old today. He's amazing. He brings absolute joy to my heart. I could not imagine life without him.
By introducing a woman to her baby on ultrasound, a baby's chance at life doubles. If you have the means, would you consider a leadership gift to save babies in a big way? Your tax-deductible donation of $5,000 will sponsor Preborn's entire network for 24 hours, helping rescue 200 babies. To donate, dial pound 250. Keyword baby. You can be able to say, I help save a life through Preborn. Dial pound 250, keyword baby, or go to preborn.com/hope. Sponsored by Preborn.
If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Zeke, self-employed, called to refinance his $1 million home after being rejected by 3 lenders. Zeke contacted me after hearing me explain how I helped another self-employed listener who was also rejected due to lack of income. I helped Zeke secure an $800,000 cash-out refinance using the 12-month average of Zeke's business bank statements. Let's review. Zeke called to refinance his home after being rejected by 3 lenders, and we helped Zeke refinance using the deposits into his business bank statements. If you're self-employed and want to work with mortgage professionals who understand self-employed borrowers, call Team Hochberg at 855-563-2843 or visit 560david.com. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of self-employed listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 and that website you love, 560david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, and MLS 112-4061.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of Turnkey. Turnkey is the key to cyber protection. For a limited time, Turnkey is offering all new customers their first month of service free. Microsoft licensing, antivirus, anti-malware, data backup, plus 24/7 help desk support. Visit turnkey.pro today. Inbound Kennedy 41 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. We're watching the Ike build right now. It's an hour 5 from 390 into the old post office. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, overturned vehicle southbound just after 57. And big delays in Schiller Park. An accident in the left turn lane involving multiple vehicles. This is Manheim Road southbound, just north of Irving Park. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Sun and high clouds today, high 53. Clear tonight, low 35. And then sunny tomorrow, the high 59. Clouds and sun, shower and a heavy thunderstorm by nightfall on Friday. High Friday afternoon at 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
In Chicago, 34 degrees, 34 in Aurora, and 34 officially at O'Hare. Your next news update comes your way at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. As I said before, Mike Scott's newscast, you know, the sell-off the last couple of days, even the last week, didn't really bother me that much. You know, you can't get too jittery about it. But then I saw Jim Mad Money Kramer post Don't let Monday's sell-off scare you out of the market entirely. Now I'm preparing for end times. Because wherever Jim Cramer is, I want to be 180 degrees from him. In fact, point of fact, there's this thing called the inverse Cramer index.
Oh, really?
The inverse Jim Cramer. So do exactly opposite what Jim Cramer recommends. CNBC, Investotainment. And last year, if you did exactly the opposite of what Cramer recommended, you would have seen a 43% return on your money. The only person in the Western world who can beat that is Nancy Pelosi, because maybe she's front-running trades. Who knows? Anyway, so I'm a little.
And now you're worried.
I'm a little trepidatious now that Cramer's saying everything's going to be okay. In addition to that, let's hear from the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who was pressed by an AP reporter about Trump's tariffs and the impact in advance of his discussion with the Business Roundtable yesterday. And, I don't want to get in trouble with Caroline Leavitt, so I'm going to have our next guest do it by responding to what she said. Take a listen.
If we could just step back for a second. When President Trump last addressed the BRT when he was on the campaign trail, his big push was on tax cuts. He's going there today as he's proposing tax hikes in the form of tariffs.
Not true.
And I'm curious
he's not doing
why
that.
He's prioritizing that over the tax cuts.
He's actually not implementing tax hikes. Tariffs are a tax hike on foreign countries that, again, have been ripping us off. Tariffs are a tax cut for the American people. And the president is a staunch advocate of tax cuts. As you know, he campaigned on no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security benefits. He is committed to all three of those things, and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have.
They
don't get charged on foreign companies. They get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press. Mary, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. Tariffs are a tax cut. Brian Westbury is the chief economist at First Trust Portfolios. He joins us now. Brian, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, Dan.
Morning.
You're brutal on Jim Cramer, by the way.
I know.
He deserves it, but he deserves it. But
exactly.
But that was brutal.
Well. We all would have been
Richard if we did the opposite of what he told us to do.
I'm just trying to help our listeners out. Don't listen to that lunatic. Yeah. All right. Well, all right. So you be the bad guy here, I think. Caroline Leavitt, what she just said about tariffs.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we just do tariffs in an isolation, you put a tariff on, it is a tax on consumers. It raises the goods, the price of any good you buy that a tariff would be put on. I think where she is going, and I kind of agree with this, if we look around the world, for example, the European Union tariffs our automobiles when they go into their country, into Germany or Spain or Italy, but we do not tariff their cars when they get imported into the United States. So if we were to put a tariff on the European Union and that gets them to back off their tariff on our cars, in the end, that's a victory, right, for consumers. In Canada, they tax eggs and milk and beef and all kinds of agricultural products, and some of those tariffs can reach over 200% because they're protecting their industries. And if our tariffs were to get them to lower them and then we could all get rid of them, it could end up being a tax cut on American consumers. However, the first part, just putting a tariff in, it is clearly a tax hike on consumers.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's I mean, this is the point. You have to realize, the destination. Okay, I'm all for, but the destination is not foretold. It is not guaranteed. This is, a bit of a high wire act. And so that's where we need to be sort of honest with each other here in MAGA world about what's going on and basic economics, which Caroline Leavitt sort of missed despite her indignation about being asked. So that's all I'm saying. I mean, so and to your point, I mean, we saw Trump impose the tariffs on steel and aluminum in Canada, and then Doug Ford, the premier of Ontario, looked to whack the northern state Americans who buy their electricity from Canada, and then he walked that back because he's got a meeting tomorrow, or I think Thursday, with Howard Lutnick to talk about this trade relationship between Canada and the United States, for example. So it is instigating conversations, and it is getting people around the table to talk turkey as opposed to just posture before the camera. So hopefully this is the pathway to that destination of lowering trade barriers all the way around, right?
Yeah, that would be to me the best thing, the best outcome of all of this. Getting there is fraught, no doubt about it. And I'm going to try and do this really briefly, but let's talk about the Constitution for just a minute.
Okay.
Because the founders, when we put the Constitution in, it was for Americans, right? So we decided we're going to have a free country where we respect the individual, and so therefore, if you kind of think of tariffs as a tax on the individual, I'm not going to call it a violation of the Constitution, but it sort of goes against that. Well, what the Constitution really did is it said Texas can't tariff California, Illinois can't tariff Wisconsin. So within the United States, we have free trade. Right. But the rest of the world doesn't have the Constitution. So if they take advantage of us, how do we fight back, if you will, and stay true to the Constitution, stay true to supporting the individual? And I think that's always been if you read Washington's farewell address, he dealt with this. Maybe we have to treat enemies like enemies and friends like friends. And so tariffs are fraught. There's no doubt about it, but they tend to address some of the imbalances that we see in the world of other countries taking advantage of the fact that we play by the rules. So we're going to force them to play by the rules, too.
Well, how does Doug Ford, the premier of Ontario, go from saying, I'm not going to hesitate to cutting off electricity completely to 1.5 million American homes and businesses in Minnesota, New York, and I forget the third state, but how does he go from that to now saying that he's going to back off and not even tax them 25%?
Yeah, I think, this is economic competition between nations is just an amazing thing. And it would not help Canada if they cut off that electricity. They look at that as revenue to their electric companies and their power production. So they don't really want to do that. I'm pretty certain Canadians didn't really want to boo NHL players, but we got mad at France at one point and stopped eating French fries. So this is a lot
freedom
of
fries, Brian. Freedom fries,
but also it has to do with it has to do with real economics, but it also has to do with just emotional competition as well. So I think he may act like he's behaving purely economically, but I think a lot of it's emotion too. And in the end, cutting off your nose to spite your face isn't a good idea.
Well, right, but I mean, not to belabor the point, but you could argue, I would argue, that protectionist policies are cutting off your nose to spite your face too. You don't make policy based on emotion. The point is, if protectionist policies are bad, and all these socialist countries are protectionist, then why would we want to emulate them, right? If you're going because Canada or or France or Germany wants to punish their citizens and increase the costs of the consumption of goods and services, we should do the same thing to ours? That doesn't make much sense to me.
No, and Dan, I'm agreeing with you. May not sound like it, but I do. I'm a free market guy. Tariffs are a tax. You want to, if your consumers, like in the United States, want to buy goods made in France or Canada or anywhere, stopping them is a violation of free markets. However, excuse me. However, if we look back over the last 20 years, America, because of the way we've redistributed income and given it to people who spend all their money and don't save it, our consumption is up 62%. And that's what we're calling good, right? Like people ought to be able to consume. And by the way, that's not even including inflation. But our production, our industrial production, has basically been flat for the last 20 years. So how do we make that up? Well, we import. Our imports have gone. We have 20 years ago, we had a $20 billion a month trade deficit. Today, we have $100 billion a month trade deficit. In other words, we're consuming more than we're producing.
Yeah.
And that's, I believe, because we follow the rules, if you will, of free markets, but other countries don't.
Well,
they're subsidizing, they're dumping, they're tariffing us when they shouldn't be. And in the end, that creates an imbalanced world. And if we can rebalance that world, that will make it a better place. And so partly, let's not invade those countries trying to make them democracies. Let's force them to play by the rules by creating some pain. And, and it will. The problem is it creates pain for us too.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, and I get sort of the realpolitik posture and the play here by the Trump administration. But, I mean, let's also be real honest with ourselves about how free market we actually are. We protect industries. We have industrial policy. We subsidize favored industries and protect favored industries and don't subsidize and don't protect unfavored industries. We do it all the time, and it varies from administration to administration. And what this ends up doing when you start these tariff tit for tats is basically you come to agreements like the USMCA where, you will lower barriers here and you'll lower barriers there, but we're going to keep barriers higher here and we're going to keep barriers higher there. I mean, it's just more industrial policy. The net may be slightly better in terms of reduction of trade barriers, particularly for favored industries, ag and cars and so forth. But I mean, I think we should level with people about what we're actually doing and what the likely outcomes are going to be.
Totally agree. This is not pain-free. Absolutely not. I would argue, yes, we do favor certain industries and we do things to help us compete, or we believe that's helping us compete. But still, our tariffs are lower than just about anywhere in the world. All our subsidies are lower than just about anywhere in the world.
But that's to our benefit. That's to our benefit as a country. That's the whole point.
I would argue that's true, except the other countries are dumping and taking advantage of us. And that's where it's important for us to go. Now, here, let me just add one last thing. I would rather the United States cut capital gains taxes, cut corporate tax rates, cut regulation on industry massively, not completely. We want clean water. We want, but if we were to lower the cost on our industry to produce, we would become much more competitive. So we have this weird situation where Congress cannot change tax rates on corporations, on capital gains. They can't stop regulatory creep, and we end up not producing. And so if your only tool left is tariffs, then it's not. I mean,
no, I agree with that. I agree with that completely.
RFK says we treat the symptoms, not the cause, and that's America. I mean, we have been doing that my entire life, and every president, Republican or Democrat, we never go back and treat the cause. And so I get that. The perfect world, we would cut taxes on industries so that they could produce and be more competitive. But we somehow can't get that done. So that leaves Donald Trump with only one choice, and that is to put tariffs on to try and fix it that way.
I want to get your I want to get your reaction to something that Larry Fink, the boss over at Blackstone, had to say. Now, I'm not playing this because I endorse this view, but I want you to address it. This is Fink on deportations, the mass deportation program that Trump is on, and its impact on the labor market and thus our economic growth. Take a listen.
I do believe deportations and the speed at which this is happening is going to have severe impact on the agricultural sector and the construction sector. I've talked to CEOs in the ag sector, and they remind me that 70% of the men and women who work in the agriculture were not born in the United States. Many of them are U.S. citizens now, many of them have work permits, and many of them don't. And 40% of the construction workers were not born in the United States. You add that up, and what's going on, I think we're going to start seeing, especially when spring and the spring crops arrive, are we going to have enough workers to harvest the crops? And and now, with the whole idea that we're going to have to use a private capital to build out this economy, are we going to have enough workers? I've even told members of the Trump team that we're going to run out of electricians as we build out AI data centers. We just don't have enough.
No, I don't know. I mean, Larry Fink is, as far as I know, we're removing people in this country very rapidly who are public safety threats. So I don't know how that endangers the workforce in ag or construction. But the point he's making about deportations and the status of our labor market, particularly those sectors he mentioned.
Yeah, I think we call it Terra del Fuego. What's the gang name?
Tren de Aragua.
Yeah, Tren de Aragua. That's it. And MS-13. They are not the ones picking crops.
Right.
I'm sorry. Not in downtown Denver and Chicago and L.A. That's not where it's happening. So I think he's. And in fact, I've seen a bunch of video of ICE agents going after people, and if the only thing that's happened is your visa is run out, but you're not a member of a gang, they are not deporting you, and so I think that's just a. I don't know what his goal is there, but I don't believe this at all. And remember, when in economics, when we get rid of the supply of labor, we also get rid of the demand for whatever those people wanted too. So people say immigration keeps inflation down. Well, remember, when we get more supply, we also get more demand. So it has nothing to do with inflation or the ability of the economy to grow, so it's a neutral impact on the economy. And I do not think we're deporting agricultural workers today. I just don't think that's happening.
Brian Westbury, Chief Economist at First Trust Portfolios. Brian, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
All right, Dan, Amy, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Larry Elder, inviting you to join me on the Alaska cruise this summer, along with Mike Gallagher, Jennifer Horn, and Joe Piscopo. Enjoy Alaska's breathtaking beauty like never before. Text the word TRAVEL to 94878 to reserve your cabin today. This luxury trip is your chance to experience majestic scenery, patriotism, and adventure. We set sail August 16th through the 23rd. Reserve your cabin today. Text TRAVEL to 94878. That's TRAVEL to 94878.
Be prepared for tax changes in 2025. Without a solid strategy, you could risk losing more of your hard-earned savings than necessary. VestGen Wealth Partners can help develop proactive tax plans designed to help keep more money in your pockets. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com for a free review.
Advisory services offered through VestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and VestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. VestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
Honey, we're not moving, but we gotta do something about this kitchen.
Funny you mention it. I just stopped by Forever Remodeling's new showroom in Niles. I saw over a dozen kitchen and bathroom layouts they designed. They even offered to stop by the house and give us a free in-home design consultation.
What'd you tell them?
That we're free today?
Visit foreverremodeling.com today. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners, all-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll continue tariff talk with our friend and Toronto talk show host Jerry Agar. We'll see if we can negotiate a détente while Lutnick and Doug Ford are trying to do the same. That's 7:37.
Can't wait, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
7:32 here in Chicago, 37 degrees, and Pakistani officials are negotiating a very tense situation. Security forces continue to exchange gunfire with hundreds of separatist militants seeking to free about 250 hostages trapped on board a train. So far, at least 30 militants have been killed. Security forces have rescued about 200 passengers. President Donald Trump has officially increased tariffs on steel and aluminum. He's promising taxes will help create U.S. factory jobs. Canadian province is pausing a planned surcharge on electricity exported to parts of Michigan, Minnesota, and New York.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says the province will temporarily suspend its 25% charge on electricity exports. The move comes after U.S. President Trump threatened to double tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum from 25% to 50% in retaliation.
Ford says he made the decision after speaking with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. The EU has announced its own countermeasures, tariff-wise, about $28 billion worth today. However, the president says he does see signs of tariffs working, including word that some construction headed for Canada and Mexico is now headed back to the U.S.
We're the biggest, we're the best, and I'm very optimistic. I have to tell you, I'm very optimistic.
According to the U.S., Ukraine is ready to accept a proposal enacting an interim 30-day ceasefire in its war with Russia. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz.
This diplomatic effort in the Oval Office, talking to both leaders, both President Putin and President Zelensky back to back. And now that shuttle diplomacy continues.
Meantime, Russian ballistic missiles have killed 5 in Ukraine. A person being questioned this morning after a man was shot and wounded at O'Hare. This man saw the incident from his hotel window.
I heard what sounded like a just rapid fire, like automatic fire. I saw people, I looked out my window, I'm in the hotel right across the way, and I saw people scattering.
The shooting happened early this morning outside of Terminal 2 on the lower level near the baggage claim, where a group got into a fight. Someone pulled out a weapon and fired. Mayor Brandon Johnson says he does not support changing the curfew for unaccompanied minors in downtown Chicago to 8 p.m. Second Ward Alderman Brian Hopkins is proposing scaling back the curfew after a recent shooting of a tourist outside a Streeterville movie theater. Chicago sports ahead of their Japanese opener next week. Cubs lost in spring ball to Milwaukee 9-7. White Sox bested by San Diego 7-5. College hoops, Notre Dame with a win in the ACC tournament over Pitt 55-54. The news service of Low T Center. If you're not feeling the same energy anymore, testosterone therapy or Low T Center may be the answer. Look for personalized treatment that you'll get with TRT experts at Low T Center.
Shutting down complete agencies like USAID, as Trump has done or is trying to do, demanding that federal workers go into work. This has been an extraordinary first month. I've never seen the like of it.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Bob Chivato, owner of Go Exceed and a customer of Signature Bank. By leveraging AI and machine learning, we provide data management solutions for corporations to save time and money managing their cellular devices. While we rely on machines to help us run our business, we believe personal relationships are essential. This is why we chose Signature Bank. Having a banking partner who understands our background, our business, and our priorities is fundamental to our success. Any bank can provide basic services, but having a bank that you can trust, one that looks out for you and treats your business like its own, that's irreplaceable.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, it's Amy Jacobson here, and I'm finally making my dream garage a reality with Level 10 Coatings. They're coming this March to coat my garage floor and give it that shiny new showroom floor look. I couldn't be more excited. Level 10 Coatings specializes in expert garage floor coatings for both residential and commercial spaces. Their floors are durable, easy to maintain, and best of all, done in just one day. If you're thinking about upgrading your garage floor with that shiny new showroom look, get it done this spring. Call my friends at Level 10 Coatings at 855-510-2628 or book your free consultation online at level10coatings.com. And here's a bonus. Mention me, Amy Jacobson, and you'll get $500 off your project. So do not wait. Call 855-510-2628 or visit level10coatings.com today. Level10coatings.com.
Hey, Carl Jackson here for Dennis Prager. While Dennis Prager is recuperating, we know you miss your daily dose of Dennis. That's why Pragertopia is giving you a special gift. Right now, Pragertopia members can hear the best 2 hours of Dennis's favorite segments from as far back as 2010. On Monday, you can hear the Happiness Hour.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what I'm about.
Tuesday is Celebrity Guest Day.
Donald Trump Jr. is in studio with me.
On Wednesday, it's the Male-Female Hour.
I really do wish there were a way to ascertain the number of marriages that this hour has helped.
Thursday, the Ultimate Issues Hour.
Not having ultimate issues clarity is like having a map, but you don't know where you're going.
And Friday is Open Lines.
Feel free to ask me anything about me, about you, about life.
So if you're missing your daily dose of Dennis, go to Pragertopia.com and hear all your favorite segments along with lectures, celebrity interviews, and his famous Torah teachings and more. Get your daily dose of Dennis at Pragertopia.com, Pragertopia.com.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
7:39. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Eden's right now 18 minutes into the junction. Kennedy is 1 hour from O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. Inbound I, especially due to construction work between North Avenue and the Tri-State, it's already 85 minutes from 390 into the old post office. Dan Ryan 35 minutes, 95th into the Circle interchange. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, jam solid northbound right at Foster. Delays on the Reagan I-88 this morning eastbound, jamming up between Route 83 and the Tri-State. Southwest side, West Lawn neighborhood, Pulaski Road northbound remains blocked off, approaching 60th. Have an accident with a car into a building being worked on by authorities. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sun poking through the high clouds today. High 53, clear and 35 overnight. 38 right now. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So we've got a new PM in Canada. Justin Trudeau issued his Fare Thee Well last week.
On a personal level, I've made sure that every single day in this office, I put Canadians first, that I have people's backs. And that's why I'm here to tell you all that we got you. Even in the very last days of this government, we will not let Canadians down today and long into the future.
Okay.
And he was crying. He had tears in his eyes. Did you see that? Somebody get that guy a tissue, man.
He's a grade school drama teacher, so he's given to melodrama, I suppose. The new guy, same as the old guy, was a central banker. There's a red flag right there. A central banker named Matt Carney, and tough talk in the direction of Trump.
There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy.
The bluebirds are out.
Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't. We won't.
And we won't.
I am proud of the response of Canadians who are making their voices heard and their wallets felt.
Okay, well, that guy's got all the charisma of an oil painting. So we'll see. This is a temper. He's the PM for now. They're going to call an election at some point in the not too distant future, I suspect, and that's where Poilievre and Conservatives have a chance to take power. We'll get some assessment of the prospects of that shortly. But I also wanted to include Doug Ford, since he's the Premier of Ontario, and he's been saber-rattling on the issue of tariffs, not just with his the 25% tariff he wanted to put on electricity that's sold into the United States, but also that he's now relented on pending his meeting tomorrow with Lutnick, as we were discussing with Brian Westbury. But also that he's going to run a series of...
What?
Well, he's going to run an ad campaign against the Trump administration in America.
The president started this fight.
So if I'm hearing you, you're saying you're going to run attack ads, basically, against what he's doing in the States?
Well, I wouldn't call them attack ads. I'm going to call them information ads.
Okay.
And they're going to inform the great people of the United States, how it could be, and having two great nations, and how it might be if these tariffs continue to go through. As far as I'm concerned, it's unacceptable. So,
yeah, I liked the crackhead Ford, his brother, dearly departed, better. Yeah, but
they look so much alike. Oof.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's try to tamp down the acrimony a bit. See if we can come together as fellow North Americans and find some common ground. Jerry Agar, a longtime friend of the show, Toronto Sun columnist and radio talker in his own right, hosted the Jerry Agar Show on News Talk 1010 CFRB in Canada. Jerry, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so give us the temperature of the Canadians and what you're thinking and you're hearing about the prospects for this meeting between the Commerce Secretary and Doug Ford, and maybe that as a gateway to meetings at the heads of state level.
Well, I'm glad that you included Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, because he's the head of the Association of Premiers of all provinces and territories here in Canada. And with basically a deficit of leadership in Ottawa, I mean, beyond what it normally was, because I think Trudeau was such a disaster, but he effectively hasn't been Prime Minister now for a little while. And Mark Carney apparently will officially be Prime Minister coming up on Friday. Doug Ford has been the guy who has stepped forward to prosecute this issue with Donald Trump. He constantly says here in Canada, and I assume he says it when he speaks on media in the U.S. as well, that he is conducting a battle with Donald Trump, not the people of America. We love America. He did business in America. By the way, he has a business near Chicago, an extension of a business that he has here. So he's very close to the United States in that regard. But as to how it's going here, even people like myself, I would have voted for Trump if I were there. I think domestically, he's doing a lot of good things, such as cutting back on the size of government, his attitude toward illegal aliens. It's usual for politicians to lip service that they care about that, conduct committee meetings, and do nothing. And Trump has jumped on it. It's incredible, and I give him credit for that. But this trade war that's now going on, this battle between Canada and the United States, is trade wars are destructive to consumers in both countries, and it's unnecessary. And his attacking Canada as though he's going to take over the country, weaken our economy, take over the country, and make us the 51st state. Even people like myself, who are generally supportive of Donald Trump, are anywhere from upset to just furious about this right now.
Oh, interesting. Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, as a keen observer, a longtime observer of Trump and politics, I mean, you understand that that 51st state business is basically trolling. I mean, it's where he's not scrambling the 82nd Airborne and sending them up north to storm the Capitol in Ottawa or anything like that. People don't really believe that, do they? I mean, it's just sort of posturing, particularly in the direction of Trudeau, because he's such a, he's such a putz, right?
Well, yeah, that's a good word to use. His whole "we've got your back." He never had our back. I can't wait for an election and hope for the election of Pierre Poilievre as Prime Minister, because I think actually Pierre Poilievre and Donald Trump, first of all, are going to get along a lot better. Right. I don't think that Pierre Poilievre will necessarily rise to the bait on trolling. The problem we have here, Dan, is that I believe you're right that there's a lot of trolling. If Trump pokes you and you react, he'll poke you again, because that's just the way that he is. Mm-hmm. He's done it. He did it in the past, and it got ignored, and so it wasn't anything. I don't think Poilievre will really react to that, but a lot of Canadians are. I think there are a lot of Canadians actually afraid that Donald Trump is trying to literally take over Canada.
Really?
Yes.
But do you believe that, Jerry Agar?
I don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have to deal with the reality that we have here. I have to deal with that reality on my show every day, that there are people who are just freaked out about what's going on here. Now, those are the people who are going to vote for Mark Carney, so, I don't pay that much attention to them. But,
right.
But ever since Trudeau stepped down and this whole trade war has started, Trump has, and I hope it wasn't his intention, Trump has actually helped the Liberals, because now people are freaked out, and the left is running ads that are comparing Pierre Poilievre to Trump, and Trump is trying to destroy Canada, and Pierre Poilievre will just bend the knee. That's what the Liberal ad says. Will bend the knee to Trudeau and sell us out, or to Trump rather, and sell us out. That's the mood that's going on here, and it has tightened the polls between the Conservatives and the Liberals, and that bothers me.
Yeah, I've seen that, and it bothers me too. By the way, maybe we could do like a good faith offering. What if we sent like Ryan Reynolds back as like a good faith offering?
There's a lot of Canadian comedians too we could add in that.
Would that assuage some of the fears? No, but on the Poilievre thing, but Poilievre also gave this speech where he talked about standing up to Trump, just like the politicians on the left have said as well. I mean, he did it in a more professional and thoughtful way, of course, but But I mean, it seems to me that provides an opportunity for him to really separate himself. Yes, I'm a conservative, but I'm a Canadian first kind of guy, like Trump is an America first kind of guy, and I'm going to deal with this guy, and we're gonna have a productive relationship as opposed to this antagonistic one that he has with these Marxists. And so you hear me right now standing up for Canada. I don't agree with what Trump's doing, and it seems to me that would provide a political opportunity for Poilievre in a sense.
Yeah, well, he has to do that here because he has to counter that attack that he would sell Canada out, and so he has to do that. As we've discussed, I think he has a better chance of having a good relationship with Trump. Part of what bothers people like me, and as I've told you, I'm largely a supporter of Trump, but what bothers me is this is all unnecessary because we already have a trade agreement in place. And in 2018, when he put it in place, Trump called it the greatest trade agreement ever made, which is, of course, how he talks. But, I mean, that's what he said about it. And now he's complaining. He even said the other day, who would sign this? Well, he did. So any agreement can always be up for renegotiation. But you renegotiate. You don't come in like a bully and start kicking over the furniture. And that's what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. But the flip side, though, is we've been talking about on this show here, stateside, is for protectionists in Canada or Mexico or the EU to be lecturing America about protectionism is sort of unable to see but for the plank in your eye a little bit. So I would like to see trade barriers reduced across the board, as I suspect you would as well. And this is Trump's perhaps blunt way of trying to get to that end, even though, as you say, we do have a trade agreement that his team negotiated in his first term that he is now wants to, in his mind, improve upon.
Yeah, I don't agree with him on some of the things he says about an imbalance of trade in Canada's taking advantage of the United States. However, he's right when it comes to the military aspect, because Canada sits comfortably here north of the United States, knowing we are unlikely to be attacked, because attacking Canada is attacking the American military. America will come to Canada's defense. We know that. And where, to Canada's shame, we have not for years and years and years stepped up to our obligations in terms of what we owe to military defense and military spending based on share of GDP. We have been short on that forever. And to that extent, we are taking advantage of the United States.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about, during COVID, Trudeau froze bank accounts of truckers who were opposing vaccine mandates and lockdowns. Is he ever going to have to pay for what he did, or losing, resigning from office? Was that considered a victory?
I suppose it's a hollow victory of sorts. The lives that he upended, especially some of the leaders of that trucker convoy, I don't think that he pays any significant price. If people think badly of him and shake an angry finger at him, he doesn't really care. He's narcissistic and delusional. He, I think, has been found guilty of more ethics violations than any prime minister in the history of Canada, and yet he stands up there with his, like you said, Amy, with you need a tissue, because he's got tears in his eyes about the great sacrifices he made for this country, and it's ridiculous. I mean, basically what we had was a bunch of truckers who went to Ottawa, set up a bounty castle, and sat around saying, literally, they set up a bounty castle, and sat around saying, hey, we got to get rid of some of this lockdown in COVID. And he actually invoked the Emergency Act as if we had some kind of terrorist attack going on in this country. It was, and the court found that he did it improperly, illegally, and then he just kind of merrily goes on his way. I mean, how often do politicians ever face a penalty? Although I would say this, to know each other back when I used to work in Chicago, so I do know something about what goes on in Illinois, and I tell people sometimes here in Toronto, now that I'm here, there may be problems in politics in Illinois, but at least they have the good sense to send a governor to prison once in a while.
Yeah, right.
Or three.
Right. Yes, occasionally they get held accountable, usually after all the damage has been done and can't be undone. But yes, we do have that. Jerry Agar, Toronto Sun columnist and host of the Jerry Agar Show on News Talk 1010 CFRB in Toronto, as he mentioned. Jerry, thanks as always. Hopefully we'll not talk again on friendlier terms, where we're not it's rhetorical war with one another. Not us, but, the politicians.
Yeah. Well, maybe if Poilievre gets elected and we can see Poilievre and Trump have a hug, then we can have one on the radio.
There we go.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Virtual hug. All right. Thanks so much, friend. Good talking to you, Jerry Agar. He joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
You can hear this today at PragerTopia.com.
When God creates the woman, he says as follows, "It is not good for man to be alone. I will make him," now people get the first word right, "a helper or helpmate." But the next word from the Hebrew is a helpmate who is his equal.
Hear the entire episode. It's for Pragertopia members only. Go to PragerTopia.com.
Guys, if you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait. Find out your numbers by contacting my friends at Low T Center. They make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. Their health providers specialize in treating low T with personalized testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients, and, this is critically important, their treatment plans are optimized for each patient. They're not just basic standard dosage treatments. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So, get back to your best this year. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. And tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. That's lowtcenter.com. Again, lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Are you an administrator, staff member, or parent volunteer at a private school? Would you like to grow your current enrollment and welcome new families to your school? If so, we want to tell you about a great opportunity to help increase enrollment and promote your school to families all across Chicagoland. It's called ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. They work to connect private schools with new families who are looking for discounted first-year tuition. In exchange, your school will receive a marketing campaign to help grow your enrollment. Chicagoland School Vouchers does all the work to bring new families together with your school and help you expand your reach. They've been working with schools across Chicagoland for over a decade. As the demand for school choice grows here in Illinois, your private school needs to take advantage of this program. To learn more, just visit ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. That's ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com.
New treatments for joint pain are here. By now, you've heard about regenerative medicine. If you're wondering if you're a good candidate, answer these questions. First, does chronic pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or other joints keep you from doing the things you enjoy? Golfing, jogging, time with the family. Does it hurt doing the things you need to do, like getting out of bed, sleeping, working, and walking? And finally, do you want to avoid surgery and all of the pain, long recovery, and uncertainty that comes with it? If you answered yes to any of those, you need to call QC Kinetics now. Learn about exciting advancements in regenerative treatments that can give you long-lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Get your free consultation today. Call QC Kinetics. That's QC Kinetics. Here's the phone number.
Call now, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, we'll take up the case again of Mahmoud Khalil, that Columbia student who's facing deportation. We talked a bit about it earlier. We'll talk a bit more about it with David Harsani at 8:08.
But first, let's stop into that newsroom and say good morning once again to Mike Scott.
A person is being questioned after a man was shot and wounded at O'Hare. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
An end to the trend. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Inflation is easing, according to this report for February.
Fox Business Network Cheryl Casoni on the Consumer Price Index just out.
Month over month, we got a gain of 0.2%. The street was looking for a gain of 0.3%. We came in 2.8% year over year.
That is less than the 3% annual rate in January, which had continued a months-long trend of inflation creeping up, and Wall Street likes an end to that trend. We have stock futures rising after big sell-offs over worries more inflation's coming because of tariffs. So far this month, the Dow's plunged 2,500 points, and as Fox's Ryan Schmelz reports, there are new tariffs today.
A 25% tariff on steel and aluminum imports are now in effect amid economic uncertainty. President Trump backing off of his threat of a 50% tariff on Canada after Ontario Premier Doug Ford implemented a 25% charge on electricity exports to the U.S. The White House says Ford decided to pull those tariffs after speaking with members of the Trump administration.
But Canada is retaliating this morning to the new steel and aluminum tariffs, planning charges on nearly $30 billion worth of U.S. exports. The European Union also imposing tariffs on $26 billion of American goods. Russia went on the attack across Ukraine, killing at least 5 civilians hours after Ukraine agreed to a 30-day ceasefire in talks with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who just said he'll talk to the Russians next.
If Russia says yes, that's very good news, and we will begin that process and do everything we can to move that process forward. If they say no, then obviously we'll have to examine everything and sort of figure out where we stand in the world and what their true intentions are.
The day after House Republicans approved a funding plan to fund the government ahead of a Friday deadline, House Speaker Mike Johnson tells Fox,
we have to keep the government operating, and Congress has a responsibility to do that, and Chuck Schumer has to weigh that today. And I hope he does the right thing.
Senate Democrats may force a compromise since Republicans cannot pass the bill on their own in the Senate without the help of the Democrats. America's listening to Fox News.
37 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A person is being questioned at this hour after a man was shot and wounded at O'Hare Airport this morning. This man saw the incident from a hotel window.
I heard what sounded like a just rapid fire, like automatic fire. I saw people. I looked out my window. I'm in the hotel right across the way, and I saw people scattering.
The shooting happened early this morning outside Terminal 2 on the lower level. Police say a group got into a fight. The victim rushed to a nearby hospital, now in stable condition. A missing woman survived for nearly 1 week in her car after crashing into a creek in northwest Indiana.
I just can't wait to hug her and kiss her.
Family of Breonna Castle saying she went missing last week after leaving her mother's home near DeMott, Indiana.
She had told her daughter that she felt this morning that she was giving up hope, and then she was found.
Newton County Sheriff's Office saying passersby operating heavy equipment for DeYoung drainage found that vehicle off the roadway out of view from passing traffic.
The first piece of clothing she tried to do that with, she actually dropped and it fell and it was in the water. But then that shirt she was able to hang on to, and she was able to get water that way. And if she would have gone that long without water, she'd never survived.
Fire Chief Jeremy Vanderwall. Charges have been dropped against a man initially accused in the deadly North Suburban stabbing at the 4140 Steakhouse. Prosecutors say surveillance video reviewed after the charges show that Isaiah Gonzalez was never armed. Joshua Kirkwood was stabbed to death inside his own Waukegan restaurant during a fight last month. Prosecutors do say other charges are possible against Gonzalez because investigators say he started that fight. Chicago sports ahead of their Japanese opener next Tuesday. Cubs lost in spring ball 9-7 to Milwaukee. White Sox bested by San Diego 7-5. 8:04 time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The markets are waiting on a big report on inflation. It's due out soon, and it could have a major impact on stocks today. The Consumer Price Index, or CPI, measures inflation month to month and year over year. It's going to be followed tomorrow by the Producer Price Index, or PPI, which measures prices on the wholesale level. The Fed will be paying close attention to the report as it considers interest rates. In the meantime, stock futures are slightly higher ahead of the opening bell. Walmart is in the middle of a trade dispute with China. The Wall Street Journal says that Chinese authorities accuse the discount chain of pressuring suppliers to cut prices in order to absorb the cost of U.S. tariffs. It says Walmart has agreed to work with Chinese suppliers to avoid damaging the interests of the parties involved. Walmart hasn't responded to requests for comment. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Daria Albinger. Invested in you.
News.
A partial reprieve on some tariffs.
It happens every day.
He said that before, and he switched his mind. He needs to drop all tariffs.
And what happens next?
The Trump administration continues to pile pressure on President Zelensky to end the war.
Happens here.
Those cuts have affected at least 18 federal departments and agencies.
I'm not even looking at the market because long term, the United States will be very strong with what's happening here.
On AM 560, The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
In 2012, the Journal of Cognition and Emotion published a study that showed that we make a decision to trust a person within 100 milliseconds of seeing their face. Making a good first impression has never been more important, and you can make that positive impression with a professional headshot from Tom Killoran Photography. Whether you're a job seeker trying to land your next position, or you're looking to build your business by connecting with prospective clients and customers, you need a high-quality headshot to use with your resume, portfolio, website, or other marketing materials. The experts at Tom Killoran Photography can work with you to capture the exact look you need for your professional presentation. Tom Killoran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see a sample of their work, just visit KilloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN Photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Killoran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This month and every month, we remember the over 66 million babies whose lives have been senselessly sacrificed on the altar of abortion. Surely, the left doesn't understand the repercussions of a land that takes the blood of the innocent. And that should only motivate us more to save more babies and their moms. Preborn is a network of clinics, and they fight every day to save more babies and more moms. To date, they've rescued over 300,000 babies' lives by introducing a mom to her child on an ultrasound. That baby's chance at life doubles. Preborn showers moms and babies with God's love and assistance for up to 2 years. So when they shout abortion, we shout life. Let's save more babies this year than last. One ultrasound is just $28, and only $140 will help rescue 5 babies. All of the gifts are tax deductible. So donate securely. Dial pound 250. Say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby. Or go to preborn.com/hope. Preborn.com/hope. Sponsored by Preborn.
8:09, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update on the roads is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. You could save 90% on average to get your smile back. with the Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO or FEP. Check if you qualify. AlmostFreeTeeth.com. The Kennedy 1 solid hour from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson outbound all jammed up between the Chinatown feeder and the Dan Ryan Expressway. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, heavy and slow northbound between Foster and Hollywood. Slow and go on 8094, stop and go traffic between Kennedy and the Indiana-Illinois state line on the westbound side. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Sun through the high clouds for today, a high 53, clear tonight and a low 35. A sunny mild day tomorrow, the high at 59. Clouds and breaks of sun, breezy Friday. Shower and heavy thunderstorm by nightfall, the high 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
38 officially at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Free Mahmoud Khalil. That's what Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee posted on X. This is a violation of Mahmoud Khalil's First Amendment rights. This is the Trump administration disappearing people for disagreeing with Trump on policy matters. That's what Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy said.
A young man by the name of Mahmoud Khalil, an immigrant and a legal permanent resident of the United States, is being held right now in prison, even though no criminal charges have been filed against him. Now, I want to tell you why that should matter to every single American. Khalil is a recent graduate of Columbia University. He opposed Israel's military operation in Gaza. He has deep animus toward Israel's policies and the U.S. support for those policies. He helped organize the protests over Gaza at his university last year. You can disagree with his views or his politics, but there is no evidence he has broken any law. But last weekend, Trump officials entered his apartment and took him into custody. They brought him to a detention facility in New Jersey at first, but when his family went to visit him, he wasn't there. For a while, his family and his lawyer had no idea where he was. They eventually found out that he was being held in a detention facility in Louisiana, and that's where he still is today. In dictatorships, they call this practice being disappeared. No charges, no claims of criminal behavior. The White House doesn't claim he did anything criminal. He's in jail.
So it turns out that, unsurprisingly, none of that is, not much of that, I should say, is true. The substance of it is Chris Murphy gets wrong, likely on purpose, but I won't ascribe motivations. Ilya Shapiro, noting this, Ilya Shapiro, the director of constitutional studies at the Manhattan Institute, commenting on this. All the Trump administration is doing is a basic application of the law. The Immigration and Naturalization Act says people can have their visas pulled or denied for membership in or support of terrorist organizations. That goes for green cards, too, though there's more legal process that may be required. And the Homeland Security Department's spokesman has accused Khalil of leading, quote, activities aligned to Hamas, a designated terrorist organization. So that is not just voicing displeasure with the Israeli government or the American government's posture with respect to Israel. That's not what is being argued here. And Chris Murphy and the ACLU are being disingenuous in their characterizations of what is at stake here. And just a refresher on sort of the kind of environment on college campuses with these Students for Justice in Palestine groups, which may or may not have some funding that links back to terrorist organizations. A lot of suspicions about that. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe the Department of Justice will help us in the enforcement of the Immigration and Naturalization Act. But the no-go zones for Jewish students on campus, remember famously at UCLA?
Can you imagine? being Jewish at one of those schools?
There's a federal complaint that has been filed by Jewish students at California State Polytechnic University in Humboldt. This is what is alleged in that complaint, among other things, the Free Beacon reporting. Jews were taunted, Jewish students taunted with anti-Semitic slurs, pelted with fake blood. That's not speech.
No, that's violence.
That's assault.
Right.
Administrator and the response from administrators at that university was to encourage Jewish students to, quote, hide their Jewish identity to avoid being targeted. Nothing like appeasing.
Putting away their Stars of David, you mean, and just avoiding the no-go zones. Remember that?
Well, I just hide their Jewish identity, whatever that means. Nothing like appeasing the mob, appeasing the barbarian set. That's what the school there suggested, even as demonstrations were being held next to religious ceremonies on high holidays on that campus for Jewish students that included inflammatory anti-Semitic messages like "Go away Nazis," directed at Jewish students. When they did a vigil for victims of the October 7th terrorist attack by Hamas, the protesters, it's generous to call them protesters, threw red paint at Jewish students meant to represent the blood of martyrs, according to the complaint. And that's when the Cal Poly Humboldt administration said that Jewish students could avoid such incidents by appearing less Jewish. So, I mean, that just gives you a bit of an insight of what was happening if the videos coming out of Barnard College over the last couple of weeks don't drive the point home. The sort of intimidation and violence or thinly veiled threats of violence that Jewish students have been subjected to on college campuses around the country, including at Columbia, where Mahmoud Khalil was the ringleader.
And he clearly lines with Hamas. I mean, he's a national security threat, and he doesn't want to become part of our fabric. And I don't care that he's married to an American and she's, 8 months pregnant, but he needs to be deported. And I don't think it was wrong at all that he was arrested. I mean, they created so much. I mean, they destroyed buildings at the college campus. They made Jewish people feel unsafe. There's a number of things that I think that they could arrest him on.
Well, the point is here that this is not a matter of impinging upon someone's free speech rights. This is not a First Amendment case, as the left would have you believe. And it's an interesting choice they're making to elevate this guy, Mahmoud Khalil, to their cause celeb. David Harsanyi is a senior writer for the Washington Examiner. He's been commenting on this matter. He joins us now. David, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Chris Murphy channeling the socialist Spice Girls, the Rashida Tlaibs and Ilhan Omars of the world, and the Senate Democrats on the Judiciary Committee taking up this cause. Very interesting choice.
Yeah, they didn't take up the cause of Americans who are held hostage in Gaza, but they took up the cause of someone who is fine with Hamas. And he didn't just align with Hamas. His organization is in the New York Times saying that they support global intifada and also the armed resistance of Hamas. So he is a champion of terrorism, And the First Amendment issue, listen, I think that free speech is a natural right. Everyone deserves to have it, and he deserves to have it in Algeria or Syria or wherever he goes. And he can speak up, or maybe he can go to Gaza and fight on the front lines of the intifada that he supports. There's zero reason for us to import people, or fifth columnists really, who hate America. At these protests of his, they had signs up that said "Death to America." There was another press release that said that they wanted to bring down Western society. Westerners who want to bring down Western society. So we are suicidal if we import people with those beliefs. It's just suicidal. So I think the Trump administration did the right thing. That's why we have green cards.
Right.
He's not a citizen. We have green cards as a time where we can see if people are going to be good citizens. Yes, it's the highest level of protection for a newcomer, but we're going through due process. I don't think that the due process rights have been broken as far as I know. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm fine with all of it.
But shouldn't Marco Rubio step in? I mean, the Secretary of State, he has the right to remove him, correct?
I don't know what the legalities are of it. I mean, doesn't he have to go in front of an immigration judge at some point since he has a green card?
Yeah.
But he broke the law. I mean, he doesn't. I'm sorry. He doesn't have to break the law. As you say, Chris Murphy's lying. I mean, you cannot support or espouse, or I forget how the law is written, support for a terror organization, and the Hamas is a DOJ designated terror organization.
Well, and there's also something else too, because the demagoguery surrounding Trump's characterization of going after people who participated or organized illegal protests, and he said in his post on Truth Social, "No masks," quote unquote, exclamation point. Mm-hmm. And Phil Hamburger, who's a law professor at Columbia, of all places, noted that this has a real basis in the law. In point of fact, the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, one of its provisions was to prevent people from wearing masks for the purpose of avoiding legal accountability. And this was argued under equal protection under the law. So I mean, there's a history here where it's a different group that's doing the same thing as previous hate groups that ran afoul of constitutional laws related to equal justice. And there's nothing that this again is not a First Amendment issue, because this is beyond the protection of the First Amendment.
Yeah, and before COVID, I believe there are anti-masking laws in a lot of cities, maybe even states. Because why do you wear a mask? You wear a mask to intimidate people, or you wear a mask because you don't want to be identified in criminality. So we know why these people wear the keffiyehs over their face.
Well, and but the point of these illegal protests, this was the basis, and this is putting the higher education, quote unquote, higher education, on notice. This was the basis to claw back $400 million in grants to Columbia University and put other colleges, including Northwestern, on notice that the same thing is going to happen to you if you go down this same path.
Yeah. And maybe Qatar will make up the difference, though, since they send billions of dollars to these schools, right. And it's one of the reasons, we have this going on.
No, but you're right. I mean, that's a whole other issue. But I mean, the Trump administration's targeting of higher ed, the funding that they receive from the government, so much of this quote unquote research funding and other funding channels. I mean, this is where you really start to get their attention, and maybe this is something that adjusts behavior on some of these college campuses.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry that some worthy scientific departments and research departments aren't getting their money, but maybe that will teach the school not to allow these sorts of protests, which they don't have to allow, whether they're illegal or not. I mean, encampments in Columbia were illegal. The problem is Alvin Bragg was never going to go after any of them. So, of course, we can't get them on criminality because Alvin Bragg wants them to be doing these things. I mean, they took over entire buildings, vandalized them. And Mohammed Khalil, or whatever his name was I forgot, a negotiator, I think, for one of the groups. I mean, it's ridiculous.
The larger issue of Trump and Doge and the attempt to root out proverbial waste, fraud, and abuse, but really reduce the size and expense of government, and the Department of Education now being in the being front and center with some 1,300 employees getting their pink slips effectively, with more to come, and the expected hue and cry from the expected places. But, this is something that's really interesting, particularly with respect to some of the Never Trump set, because removing or eliminating the Department of Education and other bureaucracies has long been a staple of Republican presidential candidates and Republican candidates in general for federal office. And this is how Bill Kristol, who is one of the most outspoken Never Trumpers, this is how he used to talk about the Department of Education back in the day.
I was chief of staff at the Education Department. I had to designate the essential employees when we shut down. And we designated, I joked to Bill Bennett, who was my boss, we just say that no one at the Education Department is essential, in all honesty.
Yeah, so going back to when Bill Bennett was the Education Secretary, and now it's actually happening in a material way under Trump. And are we going to see an about face from the Bill Kristols of the world?
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing happened when Trump became president, where a lot of people, I think it's fair to say, followed him wherever he went. If they would switch their views. But on the other side, you have the Bill Kristols of the world who abandoned all their views just because Trump, was moving forward with things that they liked before. I mean, Trump drives me crazy sometimes, but when he's with DOJ and with the Department of Education, this is exactly what I've always wanted. I think the Department of Education is unconstitutional, frankly, and I'm happy. I couldn't be happier about that stuff. And the idea that these never-Trumpers, these true conservatives, would abandon the idea of breaking down the giant administrative state and bureaucracy, which undermines our freedoms, just shows that they've lost their way, I think.
Yeah. And I think with Trump derangement syndrome has spawned Musk derangement syndrome too. I think that's starting it's catching up to Trump derangement syndrome with some of these individuals who would rather see Elon Musk deported than Mr. Khalil at Columbia.
Someone noted that it would have been 5 years ago if you told us that conservatives, that liberals were burning down or breaking Teslas, and electric vehicles and acts of terrorism. You wouldn't even understand what they were talking about.
And here we are. David Harsanyi, senior writer for the Washington Examiner, WashingtonExaminer.com. David, thanks as always.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Guys, Dan Proft here. Let's talk about feeling your best. If you don't feel the same energy, strength, maybe feeling moody, or it seems you've lost your drive with your partner, it could be low testosterone. Testosterone therapy, or TRT, may be the answer. But they aren't all the same, so don't settle for a standard dosage TRT program that you may find elsewhere. I learned about the personalized therapy at Low T Center and the results you can expect with customized TRT. So don't put it off. Go to lowtcenter.com to book an appointment. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
At almostfreeteeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at almostfreeteeth.com.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. My father was a union iron worker, just like his father. But while he inherited his father's skill, he did not inherit his tolerance for taking orders from union bosses. He needed a change, something that was his, something where he could call the shots. So he started a janitorial company. His company cleaned grocery stores and airplane hangars, dentist office and construction sites, hardware stores and restaurants. As his business expanded, so did the complexity of managing it, especially the taxes. Preparing tax returns requires records, and Dad just never got accustomed to keeping good records. That was a mistake. It cost him his business. Initially, I followed my father and grandfather and became a union iron worker, third generation. I'm very proud of that legacy. Now I'm a tax attorney. I help business owners protect what they've built. Fighting back against the IRS is personal to me. If you own a business and have tax troubles, fight back. Go to fightbacknow.com. That's fightbacknow.com or call 312-664-6649. Become a freedom fighter today.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. Fight for another day, Donald Trump announced, when the timing is right. When one of the most pugnacious presidents of modern American history urges strategic patience, we should listen. Republicans hate continuing resolutions. They want to return to regular order budgeting and real spending cuts. All of that is understandable, but we should look for the best ground on which to fight, and a mid-year budget fight that stalemated months ago isn't it. The better ground will come as soon as this budget gets finished. Unlike last year, Republicans have control of both chambers of Congress and the White House. They also have the opportunity in the next budget to use reconciliation bills to achieve real reductions, both through DOJ and closing out those spending programs that Congress must approve. This CR does offer a token reduction of spending, plus increased funds for the Pentagon and ICE's efforts to ramp up deportations of criminal illegal aliens. In short, the only way to lose is to fail to unite. Pass the CR and prepare for the real fight ahead.
Virago is fending off viruses and making America healthy again.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-founders of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Virago contains 23 natural ingredients that work synergistically to boost your immune system. Virago's natural ingredients also protect your heart, your brain, and your liver through its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Virago also promotes healthy gum health. So go to myvirago.com, that's myvirogo.com, and use promo code IMMUNE to get 30% off. And remember, Maha starts with Virago.
Boost your immune system with Virago. Order your bottle today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirogo.com.
And use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%.
That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, we'll be joined by our friend Tom Sadeka, founder and CEO of Freedom Square, a discussion of his Freedom Chamber project and how businesses can participate. That's 8:38 with Tom.
But first, we must check into that newsroom one more time. Here's Mike Scott.
37 degrees at 8:30. Pakistani officials say security forces there continue exchanging gunfire with hundreds of separatist militants, trying to free about 250 hostages right now. 30 militants have been killed. Security forces have rescued nearly 200 passengers held on a train so far. President Donald Trump officially increasing tariffs on steel and aluminum imports to 25% today. Meantime, a Canadian province is pausing a planned surcharge on electricity exported to parts of Michigan, Minnesota, and New York.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says the province will temporarily suspend its 25% charge on electricity exports. The move comes after U.S. President Trump threatened to double tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum from 25% to 50% in retaliation.
And the EU has also announced its own tariff countermeasures to the tune of about $28 billion this morning. Officials say Russian ballistic missiles have killed 5 in Ukraine. The attack coming a day after the Trump administration lifted its suspension of military aid for Kyiv's fight against the invasion, and Ukrainian officials signaling they're open to a 30-day ceasefire. A person is being questioned after a man was shot and wounded at O'Hare. This man saw the incident from his hotel window.
I heard what sounded like a just rapid fire, like automatic fire. I saw people, I looked out my window, I'm in the hotel right across the way, and I saw people scattering.
The shooting happened early this morning outside of Terminal 2. Mayor Brandon Johnson says he is not backing support that would change the curfew for unaccompanied minors in the Loop in downtown Chicago to 8 p.m. Second Ward Alderman Brian Hopkins is proposing scaling back the curfew scaling up the curfew after a recent shooting of a tourist outside of a Streeterville movie theater. Students gathered on the University of Chicago campus Tuesday, calling on their school to be transparent about tuition and protesting the pending deportation of a Palestinian and Hamas activist.
It's absolutely horrifying that he was abducted by ICE. It's horrifying that the university seems to have collaborated in that abduction. And we can't have that happen here. We can't be next.
The third and final phase of the Kennedy Expressway construction project will begin next week. IDOT announcing that on March 18, work begins on the outbound lanes of the Kennedy from Ohio up through the Edens Junction, and with 2 lanes only available on the outbound side, the express lanes will be open, the reversibles, permanently to the outbound side for the length of the project, which may or may not wrap up by Thanksgiving. Chicago sports. Cubs lost in spring ball to Milwaukee 9-7. They're headed for Japan. While the White Sox were bested by San Diego 7-5. The news service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com. Ground delivery when you need it. from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Hugh Hewitt lays out the real truth about Ukraine.
We can defeat Hamas. We can defeat Iran. We have to deter China. You can't defeat Russia. Zelensky's not going to defeat Russia. With Trump on his side, he can get something. I want Ukraine to survive and to be free in a stable and enduring peace, and I want to arm them to the peace so this doesn't happen again.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Healthcare is complicated. It doesn't have to be. If you don't love how your health insurance works, maybe it's time to leave traditional health insurance behind. Take charge of your healthcare with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM offers you flexibility. Enroll anytime, choose your own provider, and select the program that fits your needs and budget. CHM is the original faith-based way of taking care of your medical bill costs. Learn more at chministries.org/wellness.
You heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
You can hear this today at Preggertopia.com.
When God creates the woman, he says as follows, "It is not good for man to be alone. I will make him," now people get the first word right, "a helper or helpmate." But the next word from the Hebrew is a helpmate who is his equal.
Hear the entire episode. It's for Preggertopia members only. Go to Preggertopia.com.
8:37. Let's get an update on the roads. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, Kennedy right now, 75 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and go on the inbound Ike, an hour 20 from 390 all the way into the old post office. Inbound, you're jammed up North Avenue through the Tri-State in the construction zone. Delays on the Tri-State itself. Again, stop and go due to road work on the Tri-State itself. 294 jamming up southbound between Cermak or 22nd and Ogden Avenue. Southwest side, West Lawn neighborhood. Pulaski remains blocked northbound approaching 60th, investigating an accident that sent a car into a building. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sun poking through high clouds today. High 53, mainly clear and 35 overnight. Mostly cloudy and 37 right now. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and always looking to profile organizations that provide intersection points for people who believe in living in a free society, people who believe in free minds and free markets, to congregate, to activate them for electoral purposes or even professional and commercial purposes. One such connector, connecting others, is Tom Sadeka. He's the founder and CEO of Freedom Square, and he joins us now. Tom, good to have you with us again.
Good morning, Dan and Amy, and thank you for the golden earring walk-on music. Love it.
Yes.
I know. Isn't it good?
The bullet hits the bone. I'm impressed that you picked that up. Yeah, very good. All right.
Absolutely.
All right, Tom.
Hey, great. Okay, Dan, go ahead.
No, I just...
I was going to say it was great seeing us last week. Is that what you're going to say, Tom?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, what a great thing. Tuesday at the event for the watch party, which was excellent, and then the sponsor breakfast was phenomenal. And yeah, to get caught up with you guys was great.
Yeah, and then we enjoyed seeing you eat your body weight in breakfast sausage. So that was fun. Glad you could make it.
Yes, and
enjoy the buffet.
You know, when I don't normally do breakfast, but when I walked in and I saw that tray of bacon and sausage, I'm like, well, pardon me.
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah,
well,
you pushed me over, man. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Well, let's talk about let's talk about Freedom Square and the Freedom Chamber and how we can get capitalists and free market types to organize and congregate together and advance the cause.
Absolutely. Well, and thank you for having me on. And Freedom Square, freedomsquare.com is our site where we aggregate news, podcasts, resources, and also have a pro-American business directory. And we're proud to have you guys on in the podcast. And we aggregate a lot of the Salem properties because the news there is excellent. But during this process and over the last couple of years and talking with Dave Santrella, the CEO of Salem, and Gary Rabine and Alfredo Ortiz and a number of folks, the one thing we kept coming back to is that U.S. Chamber has been doing nothing for Main Street, small business, small mid-sized businesses, probably for 25 years. They left for supposed greener pastures with globalists and policies that have really hurt the small business. And so we thought, you know what, there's got to be an alternative, and there really isn't one. And we thought we've got the heart, we've got the firepower, and we've got the connections. And the aforementioned gentlemen are co-founders in our Freedom Chamber, which we use Freedom Chamber because people know what a Chamber of Commerce is. Only this is a little bit different because it's on a national scale. And our mission boiled down is to unify, strengthen, and advance the pro-American small business community.
And how do you recruit these small business owners? I mean, how do you reach out to them? How do you find them, I should say?
Well, through marketing, through our partners. If you were to go to freedomchamber.net and go to our About page, you'll see our list of co-founders, which are some prominent companies, and they are reaching out to their networks and bringing members over, and then going on shows like yours, which helps a lot because from our Thursday breakfast last week, we had a number of companies join us, and I tell you, Salem's got great sponsors, and if I could just give a plug for them, the listeners, every opportunity you have to support these businesses, please do, because they turn that money around and put it back in the support of Salem, where we get great programming. We're not like the Democrats where you send billions to an NGO and then have it flush back under the table to you. We got to do it the old-fashioned way, so please support the sponsors.
The Freedom Chamber, I know it's national in scope, but most businesses are going to be local in outlook in terms of the policy environment. What happens in Chicago and Illinois is more impactful in many businesses than what happens in D.C. So how do you sort of represent interests of companies spread across the country, both locally and nationally?
So we've got the advocacy arm right now in D.C. and statewide. We're going to have to build out the more local aspect of the advocacy strength through our partner Job Creators Network that is looking to build a network of local advocates to fight against really the antithetical small business policies that come out now and then. So we're in the building process. We launched in late May, June, and our building and our the other thing is, even though you might be a local company, we have great benefits that you can take advantage of. And probably the greatest benefit we've been working on 9 months with now we released is a group health plan that is available to our members that have 3 or more employees on a plan. They can now get into a group health plan that will save them a lot of money. And I switched Freedom Square to the plan. Our guys are very happy. The network had 98% of their doctors. We saved 52% on our premium, and that's a huge impact.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Are you going to do like low interest car loans next or mortgages?
Well, mortgages, no, but we have these. The benefits are geared more towards corporate level, so like business plans, technology, data, digital marketing, advertising. What other? We've got a number of benefits that are out there. But in time, as our members join us, they are supplying their own set of benefits to fellow members because we really want to raise the tide for everybody to be conducting commerce with each other and take the opportunity to get rid of the woke vendors off your P&L. Absolutely. And also, too, just on the employment side, looking for employees, sort of borrowing from Mike Rowe. There was a good interview he recently did with our friend Selena Zito talking about the headlines catching up to him these days in terms of young people, men, but not exclusively, eschewing college for the trades. And there's a couple of stories of people that he's provided scholarships to through his foundation. And, sort of what's going on now with the jobs in the trades or in manufacturing that are going unfilled. And so I would think, some small business owner-operator businesses, but that could be somewhat substantial in size, 50, 100, 150 employees. And they're looking for employees. This seems like a good place for them as well. It's a great place. One of our advisors, if you scroll further down on our About page, you'll see we have advisors that hit certain aspects of everything from national security down to the labor market. And one of our labor market analysts is Red Balloon. And they're building a tremendous database of folks, as you said, and they're non-woke. And we're also working we just had a meeting last week on building a program for where internships, because of our access to a tremendous amount of college youth that we're going to be implementing. We hope within 6 months to make that available for our members. So once you get in there, there's a lot there to be had, and and again, it's also the power of the force multiplier of being together. And when we go to Washington and say, listen, one of the things we're working on is making sure the corporate tax cuts impact the pass-throughs, the LLCs and the sole proprietors and the sub-S corps, because I think only 15% of the companies are C corps that are eligible for the 15% tax cut if you're U.S. based. So we're working on that with JCN, and we had a recent victory with the Corporate Transparency Act being quashed, the beneficial ownership reporting, which, Dan, you've got a business, you probably looked at that and said, what the hell is this? Yeah. So that has been stopped thanks to JCN and others. Yeah, we actually talked to Carol Roth about that a week or so ago. And no, that is important, sort of a below the fold issue, but like a real impact on
on small business. So this is cool. How do people sign up? What's the program? Give us the details.
freedomchamber.net. You'll sign up there. Right now, our annual membership is $347. You can get that back inside of 30 days in terms of benefits. As I was building this out, I switched my services and products to our members, and I'm saving over $17,000 a year in expenses that I had with other vendors. So the payback is very strong.
Yeah, and you can
for people when they sign up, have them say Dan and Amy, because, and you guys know Chuck and Mike, they do a great job with video and interviews. We'll do an interview for our Salem friends, and also produce a nice video piece that they can multi-purpose as marketing that they can use, and that's got a tremendous value in it too. But just go to freedomchamber.net. Take a look around. If it's something you want to join us with, please join us, because we are growing, and we want to amass all the good people and companies and entrepreneurs in one place, and we will be able to make a huge difference.
FreedomChamber.net is the website, freedomchamber.net. Tom Sadeka, founder and CEO of Freedom Square. Tom, thank you as always. Good luck with the Freedom Chamber project. Appreciate it.
Thank you both. Have a great day.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
MyPillow is excited to announce that they're having the first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 30% on their brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one Mike has worn every day for 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get the 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And the best-selling standard MyPillow, just $14.98. To take advantage of the first ever mega sale, go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship has sailed, because right now every order ships absolutely free. MyPillow.com, promo code LIBERTY.
I should have done it sooner. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and that's what a number of people say to me when they come up and talk to me about QC Kinetics. Why did I wait so long? So let me ask you a question to see if whether or not you're a good candidate for QC Kinetics. Do you have trouble sleeping, walking, day-to-day movement? Do you want to avoid surgery and all the pain, the long recovery, and the uncertainty that comes with it? Do you miss doing things like golfing, jogging, playing pickleball? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, I bet you're a great candidate. So please don't wait. Contact our good friends at QC Kinetics right now and ask for your free consultation. Learn how the latest advances in regenerative medicine can help you and give you lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
AM 560, The
Answer.
Dan and Amy, there was a little contretemps in Congress yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Two representatives at a committee hearing. One is the chairman. His name is Keith Self. He's a Republican from Texas. The other, a leftist from Massachusetts named Bill Keating. And Keith Self, Representative Self, the chairman of this committee, was introducing Sarah McBride, who is the trans member of Congress from the big guy's state.
Delaware, yeah.
And, well, it went like this.
I now recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Mr. Chairman, could you repeat your introduction again, please?
Yes, we have set the standard on the floor of the House, and I'm simply...
What is that standard, Mr. Chairman? Would you repeat what you just said when you introduced a duly elected representative from the United States of America, please?
I will. The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order. Mr. Chairman, have you no decency? I mean, I've come to know you a little bit, but this is not decent.
We will continue this.
You will not continue it with me unless you introduce a duly elected representative the right way.
This hearing is adjourned.
What?
Okay, bye. Keating with his Joseph Welch to
have you no decency?
McCarthy, ridiculous high hat routine. Sarah McBride, trans, so a dude pretending to be a woman, and you heard Sarah McBride refer to Keith Self as Madam Chairman when he or Madam Chair, whatever, when he referred to Sarah McBride as Mr. McBride. So she sort of shot back, whatever. The standard has been set. What Representative Self is talking about is that we're going to call men, men, and women, women. We're not going to participate in the charade. And, of course, that's not where the left is. They want to keep up the charade.
Well, it's also worth noting that congressman is not a gendered term. I mean, congressman is synonymous with members of Congress. I've called Congressman Schakowsky, Congressman Kelly. I don't say congresswoman. And then until somebody told me, I don't know, 3 years in TV news, like, oh, just call him congresswoman. Like, okay. But I remember a time when we'd call him congressman.
Well, yeah, but the congressman or congresswoman is not the issue here. It's Mr. McBride.
Right.
So
312-642-5600 turnkey.pro answer line.
So should we like that out of some sort of false sense of being respectful, we should participate in a lie? Because I know there are people that don't believe in boys playing girls sports, for example, that still say, oh well, if they want to be called Miss McBride, if they want, they call him Miss McBride. No, I'm not going to participate in it. It's not being disrespectful. It's just you say you're something I know you're not, and I'm not going to participate in that. If you don't like it, then that's fine. You call yourself whatever you want, and I'll call you what you actually are. Reference what you actually are. The biology here. Truth.
Right, well, are they ever going to have this committee hearing meeting? Because if he or somebody else does it again, they're just going to, adjourn for the day?
Well, I don't
take their
really
toys
care.
And go home? I mean, come on.
Well, let me give you an example, too, that extends beyond the male-female thing.
All right.
What would, if J.D. Terrapin Holt, if J.D. Terrapin Holt was ever elected to Congress, would Bill Keating demand that Keith Self call J.D. Terrapin Turtle J.D.? I'm not kidding. J.D. Terrapin is a member of the Oregon Consumer Advisory Council, which advises the state about mental health services.
Okay.
Can't make this stuff up. And this is a compendium of J.D. Terrapin on Zoom calls.
Hello, everybody. It's JD, turtle and pronouns. Pronouns are turtle and they, them. Hello, everybody. It's JD. I use they, them, or turtle for pronouns. Hello, everybody. It's JD. They, them, and turtle for pronouns in the Springfield, Eugene area.
And don't tell me from Eugene, Oregon, that J.D. Terrapin couldn't get elected to Congress, because I'm sure she could. And then Bill Keating will storm out of a committee hearing if Keith Self doesn't refer to J.D. Terrapin as Turtle J.D. or something. This is where it goes. I mean, this is the insanity of it all. So this is where you can be respectful, but I'm also going to be honest. How about that?
That sounds good. All right, thanks so much for making this part of your morning, part of your lives. Thanks to Justin Kosick, Keith Conrad, and Quinn McCarthy. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Wall Street opens higher, and the Democrats may lose another Senate seat. Jeanne Shaheen